Hello there, and welcome to Sweet Child of Time. I'm your host, Steve Barnes. Today, we're continuing our recap of Dark. We're at season 3 now. This is episode 1, Deja Vu. I thought an episode was called Deja Vu from season 2, and I forgot to look it up. But it seems like the kind of title that should be a Dark episode, Deja Vu. And if you're listening to this on the One of My Stories feed, let me introduce you to your host. She is right here from One of My Stories. You know her from the Dark Ways Facebook group. She's your moderator. You know her from her critics. She's Lindsey Dunn. Ahoy there, Lindsey.
Ahoy, Steve. And it does feel a little like deja vu that we're starting up with Dark again after we started once already, but we took a break.
That's right. We went and made things right. We went back in time and fixed everything. Yeah. We did take a little break there while I was doing Wheel of Time, and you were doing stuff. You were very busy. I'm lucky I have you when I have you, as a matter of fact. So I appreciate the time you're here.
Well, thank you. It's good to be appreciated. And I'm happy to be on here, too. It is, it's a commitment and all that, but you're making a commitment, too, also to set aside this time.
This is what I do it for. I'm really excited about this, and I was really happy to watch this episode again. Because as the listeners know, we went ahead and binged season 3 ahead of time, and I kind of wish I hadn't done that now, but whatever. I mean, what's done is done. I tried to go back in time and undo that, but it didn't work. I still remembered everything, unfortunately, but it was great watching this again. I just watched this last night.
I did watch it again, obviously, when I did the recap, which was
well, I hope so.
in August. So,
oh goodness,
still reasonably fresh, but yes.
Oh yeah, I'm fresh as a daisy then, I guess, because it was like less than 24 hours ago that I watched this and took all my notes and took it in. And I mean, season 1, of course, is great. Season 1, episode 1, great. Season 1, episode 4, when they go back to the 80s, great stuff. Season 1, episode 8, the ending, obviously fantastic. Then you got season 2, episode 6, which is where Jonas goes back and fixes everything back in time. I mean, that I thought that was like peak Dark right there. I think what we're watching right now, season 3, episode 1, where it keeps getting better. We're watching peak Dark, and I'm almost thinking I'm enjoying this more than I enjoyed some of those other episodes. I don't know, maybe it's recency bias, but I'm really into this, Lindsey. I watched the Netflix official season 2 recap to try to catch myself up before I watched this. And it was not a good idea because it was so fast paced and there was so much stuff crammed in there. And that's not Dark. Dark is very slow and drawn out and gives you time to breathe and think. So you have a short season 2 recap that you're going to read for us when we get started with this that I think is good. And I think, of course, we've been podcasting, and our podcast listeners are fresher than your average listener. But I would not, if anybody's listening and they want to do a season 2 recap, I would not recommend the Netflix one. I would go to something on YouTube where maybe like a really emphatic YouTuber has made more like a 15-minute recap that delves into stuff more.
Sounds like they really crammed it in. That's that Netflix recap.
I couldn't even keep up with what they were saying. It was just flash, 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 flash. It was crazy.
Yeah, I didn't do a full season 2 recap, but it's more of just where we left off.
Right. Yeah. I was saying something about season 2, episode 6, and that pretty much leads us up to right where we are too, because that's just 2 episodes back.
Yeah, so last season ended with the apocalypse, triggered by Klaus's insistence that the nuclear pool room be opened.
Boo!
Darn you, Clausen. After Adam shoots Martha, an alternate Martha shows up and tells Jonas that she's from another world.
Okay. Yay!
Yeah. Okay. So stranger Jonas rescues Bartosz, Franziska, and Magnus by traveling them out of 2020 Claudia, Regina, teen Noah, and young Elizabeth escape death by hunkering down in the bunker.
The odd group.
Well, obviously Peter. Don't forget
Oh
about
yeah, you left him
him.
out.
I did
Hey,
leave
you
him
did
out,
forget
didn't
about
I?
him.
But yeah, I'm putting him in now. He's back in. He's back in the
Okay.
bunker.
Congrats, Peter.
The cast of Dark scatter into either oblivion or through the portals of time.
Right.
Because we've got, of course, Katerina is
Right.
now chasing in the 1980s. Then we have Elizabeth's mother. I'm drawing a blank. Charlotte. How could I forget Charlotte? Charlotte was whisked away. Regions unknown, which
Oh,
we
that's
will
right.
see very soon. So there's different people. So the group is kind of scattered to the far winds in different worlds, different times, and all of that.
Oh yeah, and Hannah is like,
Yeah.
um, yeah, she stepped away too. That happened episode 8 last season, right?
Yeah, that
When
was 7, 8. I think her narrative was sort of divided into 7 and 8, but we definitely saw her in 8 some, but we were just like, Hannah's up to no good. I mean,
yeah,
she's
she stole
got
the time
poor
machine, man.
she's got poor ego on a string.
Oh, that too.
Mm. It was that smoking cigarettes in red dresses. It's gets them every
Yeah,
time, apparently.
it's. I mean, it's kind of true. I mean, I don't
Mhm.
know. I was thinking about that age group women because we get to meet a lot of them here in this alternate universe. Yeah, I'll get to them when I get to them.
Mhm.
But my point here is, we both agree that, like, Hannah's like a knockout, like, physically wise, like looking at her
Mhm.
visually. But she's the last person I'd ever want to ever date or be in a relationship or even be a friend with. So,
Mhm.
I mean, that goes to show that
Yeah.
comes from the inside. Everybody from Dark knows that.
So I wanted to say you sort of shared your overall reaction about
Hmm.
into season 3. I wanted to share mine before we start the alternate. I'll start the official recap. We've already started the episode. What am I saying? For me, this has been rewarding in that I've only watched season 3 one time, and it was when it first came out in 2020.
Wow.
And at
Okay.
the time, as I watched it, I was thinking, well, gee, darn, you got to finish those season 1 and 2 recaps, Lindsay. Then you can work on season 3. Famous last words. Here we are 3 years later. But
Hmm.
for me, season 3, I remember it just being super confusing. I feel like they nailed the
Hmm.
ending, but it was very difficult to keep up with all of that. So going back
Hmm.
and getting to watch it again and process it and write it out has been very rewarding because it helps me to slow down enough that I can keep track of these important distinctions. So, of course, in season 1 and 2 we had all the time travel.
Hmm.
And there's this signal that they give you that you're going into a different time
Right.
by they do this clicking noise. And that's how you know you're going from 2020 to 1980s or vice versa.
Right.
And there's a signal in this season as well into the other world,
Hmm.
but I didn't catch that where there was that signal. And so it was very hard for me to keep track of who was what. And I think it's
Gotcha.
important that we remember as we're starting that season 3 occurs in 2 worlds. So our recaps need to specify not just when, but in what world.
Right.
And we should probably agree what we're going to call those things. This is something we can
Okay.
try to agree on right now. So I had, in the written recaps, I had put World 1, which is our OG world, and then World 2, which is the new world that Alt Marta is from. So we could say
Hmm.
World 1, World 2. How does that suit
Okay.
you, or did you have a different thought about that?
I did have a different thought about that. I wanted to go back for a second though. You were talking about how it clicks to let you know. Were you going to go into like the episode
Oh,
later about
yeah,
the
good
different
point.
ways that we
Good
can
point, good point.
because I noticed there's two signifiers. One is like the noise, the audio noise it makes. It goes whoosh or something, makes some kind of whooshy noise. But it also like the font on the date, like some of
Mm.
the letters or numbers will be backwards when you're in world 2.
For safety's sake, we might just want to stick with 1 and 2 because that's what I have in the written recaps.
Okay. Yeah, please. Let's do it then.
Um, yeah.
I mean, yeah, because you're going to be reading these recaps,
Yeah.
Lindsay. So, I mean, you can say whatever you want.
That's
I mean,
right, that's right. I'm trying to
I know you're trying to be
pretend that I'm
nice.
democratic. Um,
Yeah, you got my vote. I mean, come on. Tomorrow's voting day. I gave up the date we recorded this, but I'm voting for you, Lindsay. You're fine. World
mhm.
1, World 2.
So just to comment on what you said though about the
Mhm.
font, I find that is very true, and I'm glad you reminded me about that. So the noise is a warping noise, and visually they kind of warp also by the camera sort of zooms in, zooms out,
Right.
and then
Yes.
zooms in again. So it's visually very clear what's happening. The font is a little bit trickier to use because we don't always have fonts. But yes, since it's representing this mirror world, the fonts are mirrored. Like the R's, I think, is the main one that is
Yeah.
always mirrored. There might be some other letters too, but
Like the number
um
3, the number 7 are usually backwards. Yeah.
mhm. But with that, I'm ready to get into it unless you have any other thoughts before we.
I'm excited to get into it. Let's do the
Okay,
recap,
let's
Lindsay.
get into it. Episode 3.1, Deja Vu. Oh, you already said that, didn't you?
You can say it
Ha ha
again.
ha ha ha.
Oh,
Okay.
hey. Hey, Steve from Sweet Shot of Time here to tell you about our latest sponsor, which is Zencastr. It's how we do our podcasts now. Zencastr is great for connecting with others because I can connect with other people. I got them all on screen with me. I can record them super easy. And the best thing about Zencastr is to me, the best thing is it records locally. So if I'm recording with someone and their Wi-Fi connection is weak or they're cutting in and out or something, it will still record everything they said perfectly. I might not be able to hear it while we're recording, but in the edit, all of it's there. I love it so much for that reason. I always get a good, strong connection with Zencastr. It really makes it really easy to edit the podcasts afterwards. And I guess the main thing about Zencastr is, for me, it's free because I'm sponsored by them. But for you, you can start off getting 30% off if you use my promo code, which is Sweet Child of Time, and you can start out with that 30% off coupon. Now, there's some stuff that I have to tell you, and I'm going to tell you right now. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use my code Sweet Shot of Time, and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. If you want to have the same easy experience I do for all my podcasting and content needs, it's time to share your story. Woo!
All right, so the episode opens with a quote by Arthur Schopenhauer. Man can do what he wills, but he cannot will what he wills. In other words, he has choice over everything but what he desires. This quote seems to posit that desire is uncontrollable. Agree or disagree, Steve?
Disagree. I disagree with this fella here. Not because I disagree with him in particular, but I can't really explain why. I mean, what he says makes sense, but I've definitely heard of people that are like, I'm going to they decide to get into something
Mhm.
and then they do. I'm going to get into horses. And the next thing you know, they're always at the barn. Um,
Mm.
that's my niece. Um, I mean, yeah, I disagree with the fella. How about yourself?
Yeah, it's tricky. I want to disagree because I want to believe that there's this idea about that we can control our thoughts. That's something I firmly believe in, that you can't let your thoughts or feelings control you, that you have to sort of take control of the narrative and not let the voice in your head become the loudest thing.
Hmm.
However, I feel like what they're saying is a little bit different, that we have these intrinsic desires, and no matter how you might try to will them away, that there are some things that are just instinctual. And for in the case of Jonas, we see time and time again people using his desires to control him. All they have to do is say the magical word of Marta, and he just seems to get in line and fall in line with that. So
Yeah.
it's played
Yeah.
out in screen so well and so realistically. But I don't know. I'd have to think about this. I wasn't prepared for the question I would ask you that would then come upon me. um, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know this guy. Before we move on, I'll just say real quick. Of course, since you put his name in his recap, I had to Google it and check him out. And
Hmm.
he's like the guy that directly influenced like Einstein and Freud and that class of science. He was like the generation before those guys. Of course, he was influenced by like Kant and all those other guys before him, all the German philosophers before he. And of course, these are German philosophers we're talking about because it's a German show. But yeah, I just thought it was interesting. He's like the guy that influenced Einstein.
Yeah. But I like this quote that whether you disagree or disagree, I like the concept that it's arguing for.
Hey, any Wheel of Time listeners out there? The wheel weaves as the wheel wills.
All right. So a female voice says, if we knew how things would end, where our journey would take us, would we still make the same decisions? Or would we choose a different path? Could we even escape our fate? Or would what is deep within us lead us to the same end like an invisible hand? Does it matter which path we choose if we end up facing ourselves again and again? During the voiceover, we see pictures of the families in Winden. Next, a man holding a gas lantern enters the
Mm,
Sigmundus lair.
mm-hmm.
The room is in shambles, pages all over the floor. He looks at the Fall of the Damned painting. Was the room this way before the man entered, or did he ransack the place himself?
Mm-hmm.
He picks a paper off the desk. It looks like the plans for the suitcase time machine.
No, I was just going to say, I'll interrupt before you go to the next paragraph.
Mm-hmm.
Was he didn't ransack the room because everything was covered in dust. He was like blowing dust off of stuff. So this happened
Hmm.
before he got there.
Okay. Yeah, the reason I'm saying a man, I thought I should note, is because this is a person we haven't seen before. This isn't the case where, like at the beginning of Dark, we would see people wearing like creepy raincoats or whatever when their faces are hidden. We can see this person's face, but we just don't know who he is. It's a
Right.
completely
Yeah.
new guy.
Yes.
Two other people enter the room wearing blue shirts, a young boy and an older man. All three have a distinctive scar in their lip. The first man throws his lantern against the painting, setting the room ablaze. The other two throw their lanterns as well. Cut to the title credits. Okay, so what did you think
Alrighty.
of this? What did you think of this opening, Steve?
Um, I think it was more of an act of symbolism to like I think it was more symbolism than destruction, first off. I think this was like a show like device. I don't like these guys at first glance, at first sight. I don't like these guys. Um we'll go more into that later as we go, but just let me stress, I do not like these guys. You shouldn't I mean, if they want to burn things down, fine, but don't bring your younger self into it. Um, but I mean, yeah, an obvious act of symbolism. They're we're introduced to World Two in this episode, so it looks like these guys are burning down the core of World One.
I think we can have mixed feelings about that because what has been happening in the Sic Mundus layer, it hasn't necessarily been good things.
Yep,
So we're
agreed.
sort of, we could be like, okay, why are these people burning this room? This is where creepy Adam lives.
Hmm.
Do we necessarily, are we rooting for Adam? Not necessarily. So we don't know what these guys' motives are. For all we know, they could be people like Jonas who have loved ones and their lives have been destroyed by Adam.
They have that
So,
look on their face. They're bad guys. I mean, you can tell they're bad guys. I think that this is it. I was just going to say, I think this is a period, like, of course, I don't want anybody to burn anybody's house down, even Adam.
mhm.
I don't want his house burnt down. I think right now, he's elsewhere. I mean, he's a time traveler. So he's spending his time at some other place right now. He's abandoned his lair for whatever reason. Of course, the loop is going to come around. He'll find it again. But I think that's why I say this is more of like a symbolic act than anything.
But it's certainly quite a way to start a series, right? Start a season.
Heck yes.
A
I mean, especially
fire.
that painting. I love that painting, but watching it burn up was even cooler. I mean, and watching everybody's pictures burn up.
Mhm.
Yeah. And this intro that we get a new intro every season. And this season 3 intro is like creepier and like more mysterious than ever. Like lots of fingers and eyeballs and misshapen stuff. And it's I love these opening credits, and I could just watch that all day.
Mhm.
So this season 3 opening credits are the wildest yet.
Yeah.
Like usually when I share the opening credits with somebody, I'm like, "Hey, you should check out this show Dark that has great opening credits, cool opening song." Season 1 is what I'll always send. I'll never send season 2 or 3 first because it feels
Mhm.
like you're cheating.
Yeah. I thought it was a very cinematic way to start. It instantly made me wonder, like, who are these men? Why are they doing this? So
Yeah.
it was effective for me, even though, do I like people, committing arson and blowing things, setting things on fire? Not really, but it was pretty cool. A pretty cool opening.
Yeah.
So we then cut to a few minutes before season 2 ended, right when the apocalypse begins. So they're giving
Cool.
us sort of a
I like
refresher
it.
here.
I like
The
it.
black blob covers the wind and power plant. At the Conwald house, Alt Marta takes the golden sphere out of her pocket and powers it up. She tells Jonas that the question isn't what time, but from what world. The
Mm.
two of them disappear from World 1 in 2020.
Like that was fully in the last episode. So this is the
Yeah.
second time we're seeing that whole scene, right?
Yeah.
Yes. I don't have
I'm
anything
glad.
else to add here.
Yeah.
If you
I'm
wanted to
glad they
move on to
included
the
it though, because it's like, oh yeah, okay.
yeah, because it's the major flux of the story from this point
Mm-hmm.
on. So like, yes.
Jonas and Alt Marta appear in a cave. Okay, so this is new now. Jonas looks around, freaked out. He's scared and wants to know how they got here. He
Hmm.
accuses Alt Marta of not being Marta, which is true. And she told him, I'm not your Marta. She's told him that. So she tells him that today is the day it all began, the day we first met. Jonas doesn't know
Right.
what to think of this statement, and neither do we. She then says, you and me, your world and my world form a knot that is inextricably intertwined. Jonas wants answers. Alt Marta instead powers up her golden sphere, promising Jonas she will make it right, echoing the promise that Jonas made to OG Marta. What can all this mean? Clarify it for me,
Well,
Steve.
she made this happen. Like she came and whisked them away. So like she's saying, you and me, you and our world, we now form a knot. It's like you're making this
Mm-hmm.
happen, world two person. So and it is,
Yeah.
yeah, she is Alt Martha looking all super cool, um, wearing all black. Yeah. So then she leaves him. I don't like that part. Like,
Mm-hmm.
don't we see like right here? She powers up the globe and she disappears and leaves Jonas in this cave to find
Mm-hmm.
his way out. So I think she should have
Yeah.
gave him a little bit more information. I mean, I guess she's counting on the old time will make its thing happen and you
Mm-hmm.
have no free will thing. But I don't like that she bailed. That's what I wrote down here. Is I don't like that she bailed.
yeah, she abandons him, and Jonas must be pretty shook. Marta just got shot.
Yeah, his
Then,
Martha.
yeah, his Martha.
Yeah,
He gets this ultimatum. You can either stay here and probably die or come with me.
right. And
And
then
then
she
she
leaves him.
makes, yeah, abandons him, and she makes this statement that today is the day it all began, the day we first met. And you're like,
Yeah.
"What do you mean the day we first met? I met you." They grew up together in Winden. So what could she mean by
Ah.
that? It's very odd. It's a very
Well, it's
odd
obvious.
thing for someone to say.
Well, yeah, you already said it though. She's all Martha. I think that's well established that she's like a um another dimension Martha.
Yeah, but I mean, even I'm saying
Like to Jonas's
as
mind.
to just yeah, in Jonas's mind, and I remember watching this in season 3, I'm like, "What do you mean when we first met?" Because you're still figuring out the rules of the alternate world and how it works. They're like, you don't know if you take that literally or if they
Oh,
mean,
oh, Jonas, he's a time
so.
traveler. He knows. He's had his deal. By this time, he's been through a lot.
Well, yeah,
I
and
mean,
he just
he's
got warped across, from
yeah.
one world to another. So I just think it's a very confusing thing. You do notice she says, "I promise I'll make it right." Jonas had said that to the other Marta's corpse. So it's
Oh,
almost like
Echo.
an echo of that.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so now we are in World 2,
And this is
November
where it
4th.
really gets neat and fun. I love it.
Yeah, World 2, November 4th, 2019, at the Conwald house. Marta wakes up as if from a nightmare. She sits up abruptly. This Marta has short bangs like alt Marta, but longer hair like the OG Marta.
But that's consistent. World 2 Martha, bangs. Always remember the bangs. It's very important to remember the bangs. Okay.
That's true. They do give you some nice visual cues with all of your people.
Yeah.
So we will call her World 2 Marta. And cleverly, World 2 is a mirror image of World 1. So Marta's bed
Hmm.
is pushed up against the right wall of the room as compared to
Yeah.
when Jonas wakes up in World 1, his bed is pushed against the left wall. So as we meet the people of World 2, we see a world reflected on the vertical axis.
Hmm.
And oddly enough, Marta wakes up in the Conwald house. So is Marta a Conwald now? What can we make of this? We'll learn soon enough, but in World 2, things are the same yet different. That's
Yeah, that's
a good quote from Mr. Miyagi too, from Karate Kid
from
1. He
Karate
tells
Kid,
Daniel, "You and Allie are the same but different."
but different. Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it makes sense to me because every time travel movie, show, like cartoon goof of a time travel thing, it always makes sure that there's like an alternate mirror world and everything has to happen kind of differently in the other world. Like and when it was the Brady Bunch, I think instead of drinking coffee, they drank tea in the morning or something. You know, you got to get your caffeine, but in the alternate reality, you do it in a different way. In another
Mhm.
podcast, in another world, you would be like, your podcast and all stuff would be called something different. Lindsay's Corner of Fun, and my podcast would be TV with Stevie, and but we'd still be doing the same thing. We'd be covering the show Light that is on Seven Flicks or whatever it is in our alternate world. I'll let you go on because I'm really loving like all. I mean, we're seeing Martha as a different character now, and yes, she's waking up in a different house. So it makes me
Yeah,
wonder, like, who's over in their house? That might be a different family over there.
exactly.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're. Mhm.
I was just going to say, this is where it comes in handy that you are so invested in time travel stuff because I've seen several time travel shows and movies, but that's sort of one of your brands. So you're like you're talking about the tropes of time travel shows, the common language of them and the common devices. So that's
Yeah.
something that is kind of like with video games when or even card games
Yes.
when people
Yes.
who play them like longtime gamers, people who game all the time, it's sometimes easier for them to pick up stuff and it's very difficult for them to sometimes teach somebody like myself who's a non-gamer how to play this game, but it's a
Sure.
common language or a common device in the game that it's like, oh, I've seen this in another game before, so after a while you can pick it up without any problem, and it can be quite challenging trying to explain to a layperson what it is they're looking at, but
Sure.
that's cool. But yeah, visually, this was just it's stunning when you first see it. You're just like, "What is Marta doing in the Conwell house? This isn't right at all."
I
But
mean,
things, yeah. Yeah.
especially when we pan out to the next group, because I mean, you're used to like people waking up in dark and like that kind of panic. It
Mhm.
happens pretty frequently. I think the neat stuff is what's coming up right now.
So now, downstairs, Mickle sits at the table wearing a flannel shirt and a trapper hat. He's holding a device of some kind, and Marta teases him that too much screen time makes it hard to sleep at night. Marta enters the kitchen and sniffs the milk.
Oh, yeah, she's the twin. Somebody in the house has a sniff milk. Somebody must be assigned that task, and it's Martha since Jonas isn't around.
In the background, we hear Cher's If I Could Turn Back Time, which is perfect.
Hey.
At the kitchen counter, we see Katerina too, with a sensible therapy bob and glasses.
Therapy Bob. What do you mean by that? What is that? Is that
After
a
you,
phrase?
yeah, it's like the haircut you get after you've had therapy, and
I'm a new person. That kind of thing.
she's she's happy. She's a healthy Katerina now. She's happier. She's been through some therapy.
Yeah, she's my lady. I love her. I think this new look is awesome. This new Katarina is awesome. I'm on board.
Apparently, Mikkel has been having nightmares. The
Hmm.
electricity flickers. Katerina too wonders if Magnus has risen yet.
Right. The lights. Uh-oh. Somebody's time traveling. We know that's what's happening. Before you move on to Magnus, which we both want
Mhm.
to move on to, um, it's interesting how Martha says that, to like Mikkel, like under her breath, she's like, all those nightmares, maybe this life is just a dream, Mikkel. Maybe this life is a nightmare. Maybe none of this really exists, which
Hmm.
I mean, spot on, Marta,
Yeah.
like, but that's just funny how she kind of says it as a joke, and that's just the reality. And it's cool that Mikkel has his own little unique style. In the other universe, he was a skeleton boy. In this one, he's a flannel lumberjack boy. I mean, but still like unique.
Yeah. Looking a little bit older, but it
Yeah,
is kind of
yeah,
sad that there's no sign of the great Houdini. I kind of miss the Houdini Mikkel.
that's true. I guess he wasn't fiddling with anything magic related at the table. He was looking at a tablet or something like that. So this Mikkel is yeah, he's
Mhm.
older, so he's gotten out of that stuff. And you're right. They had to I think you mentioned later on that there was a smart move to like within the story to age him up a couple of years. In this reality, Mikkel
Mhm.
is like 14 instead of 11. No big
Mhm.
deal.
Yeah.
It it works great.
Okay, so Magnus is making love to Franziska in his room, similar to Ulrich and Hannah. In this world, Magnus likes rat and has long black hair and tattoos. He's more of
Mhm.
a metal. I said he was a metalhead, but somebody else
Mhm.
said he's a nihilist rather than a metalhead.
Both are true.
He's more of a metalhead than a stoner in World 2, and we remember
Yeah.
in World 1, he was smoking dope. So
Mhm.
Franziska escapes out of his window, just like Ulrich did out of Hannah's window, and in
That's
World
right.
2, Franziska is deaf-mute instead of Elizabeth.
Somebody's gotta be deaf, so
Yeah.
in this world, it's Francisca. Um, yeah, and they're, like, super passionate, like, people having sex, but I think they emphasize, like, their looks and their passion and the chemistry, that these 2
Mhm,
have in this world. They're just, like, all about each other and can't separate for 5 seconds,
mhm.
and now we're all in love with Magnus. Me too. I Heather too. We all think this is a great makeover for this guy. I like his like black hair look. This is great. I mean tattoos I can give or take, but he definitely looks tough and cool. Somebody
Mhm.
in our Facebook group in like the comments section. This happened like maybe like a month or two ago, but it was just a random offhand comment that really threw me off guard. And I know you're going to get angry, so don't react too strongly. But somebody was talking about Magnus and they were like, they said something about how he was so fugly and that like that the only person fugglier is his dad Ulrich and how they're both so fugly. And I was like, I thought those guys were like hot. What do you make any sense of that?
It's probably somebody's whose girlfriend likes Magnus, and so they got ticked off.
No, it was a female. It was a woman that wrote this.
I didn't see that, but taste attraction is subjective, Steve, so that's all I can say to that.
Fugly? That's like beyond ugly. I don't that's
I'd have to go to that group, but if I saw that, I wouldn't. I mean, I would probably respond to them, but I wouldn't have gotten mad. I think that's a ridiculous statement to make about anyone.
Oh, I'm mad for everybody, so we can move on.
Um, yeah, it is interesting because I don't know. I think again, when I watched season 3 before, I sort of just took things at face value. I was like, "Oh, big deal, Franziska and Magnus are together," and but it is quite a different relationship they have here
Absolutely.
than in World 1. It was almost like a friends with benefits in that Francisco was sort of keeping him at arm's length. He
Yeah,
seemed to really be invested in wanting to get to know her, and she was playing it cool and being like, "Well, just because we sleep together doesn't mean you get to know everything about me," and keeping him at arm's length. Whereas here, there's no push pull. They're in
yeah,
love and they're together.
yeah, they're at the height of their love, like, they're
Yeah.
all a gaga, and I think I'm gonna get ahead of you a little bit. That's how we do
Mhm.
in this recap, but I think I saw later on in your recap, you write something along the lines of, like, has Francisca, like, does she not care that her parents are divorced? Does that not bother her anymore? Or does it not bother Magnus that his parents are divorced? I think the answer is no, they don't care. They're like totally in love and totally all about each other. And it's like, um, their lives aren't perfect, but they got each other and that's all they need. And they're just all about it. So I think that's my
Mhm.
answer to that question. Like, this is like a true chemistry, true love kind of thing.
So Katerina offers Marta a ride since it's supposed to rain, but Marta declines since she will need to stay late for play rehearsal. All right, this is
Oh,
exactly the same. She's in the play.
hell yeah. That's consistent.
Katerina Katerina reminds Marta that tomorrow she's at her dad's place. So in
Ah,
World 2, Ulrich and Katerina are no longer together. Marta feels annoyed by this fact. I think she was annoyed that she had to go to her dad's place. Maybe she doesn't like
yes.
being there
Yep.
because he's with Hannah. She might like it better at her mom's place.
It's exactly what it is. It's gotta be.
Yeah. Katerina looks at the family photo, and Ulrich has been ripped out of the frame.
Yeah, instead of, the grandma. That's it's fun.
Right.
This
Mhm.
whole thing is fun. Everything is
Mhm.
fun. Making these connections is great. We love Magnus. Magnus is hot. I would not want to be Magnus's sibling. He'd be the worst sibling because look, he's stealing breakfast. Like the other world, he's smacking the kid upside the head. He's always being rude and crappy, and like he's kind of there when you need him in a half-ass kind of way. Like he'll stand up for you, like if the worst of the worst thing happens. But on a day-to-day level, he's going to torture you and just walk all over you. So I don't want to be Magnus's brother. So any
But I
universe.
didn't see. That's a good point. I don't think I see any smacking in World 2.
There's no smacking, but he grabbed Martha's right when she was getting ready to take a bite of her croissant. He grabbed it off of her plate and ran out the door with it. And she was all like, "What?" So like
Yeah,
that's like a
but
same thing.
okay,
Crappy
but
move.
yes, but I'm not excusing it or saying it's a perfect relationship. But I was thinking, oh, there wasn't any smacking. It's
Right.
because Katarina went to therapy
Yeah. She was
and
like, "You
she
boys got to
learned.
stop that stuff." Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Okay, her therapy haircut. I'm down with this now.
Meanwhile, across town, Ulrich enters the bedroom of the Nielsen house. He walks over to his bed where Hannah sleeps. She awakens and asks where he's been. He claims the line for baked goods was long.
Bullshit.
Oh,
Ulrich.
Ulrich. She asks him to stay longer, but he declines. When
Of
she stands
course.
up, we see her giant pregnant belly. Apparently, Hannah too is pregnant with Ulrich's baby. She says,
Mhm.
I love you. And he says, she's beautiful.
I want to smack the
So,
man. Come on.
so wild stuff. In World 2, Ulrich has chosen Hannah as his romantic partner.
Yeah, it seems like this is kind of consistent with the other world where like he was cheating on Katerina and the kids with Hannah, but
Mhm.
instead he went off with Hannah. And now he's living at the let's see, who is his parents? Are the so it should he the Nielsen house is definitely the house that he still should be in, right?
Mhm.
And I
Yeah,
guess they're
this
renting out the Conwald house because no one lives there, I suppose.
this house, I believe this house is the one that Ulrich and Katerina were living in before.
Right. So I'm thinking
Yeah.
like a couple years ago, Katerina and the kids lived there too.
Right. Katerina and the kids were living there.
Okay.
It used to be his parents' house, of course, Trant
That's what I was getting
and
to. Yeah.
Jana. So it's this same house. It's been redecorated,
Of course. Yeah.
but it's
Got
the
to get.
same and of course used to be the Tiedemann house as well. Used to be the
Aha.
house of Egon and Doris Tiedemann. Yeah.
That's right. Before
Everybody
they
who
got super
has a
rich.
miserable marriage lives there.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody gets their turn. When are Peter and Charlotte going to move in? I mean, come on. Everybody else has gotten to live there. Uh, Ulrich looks cooler too. He's got the slick back hair. I think he had a different hairstyle, I believe, in seasons 1 and 2, but he looks cool in this world too. And who's
Hard
that baby?
disagree.
Oh yeah, you don't like it?
I think this Ulrich looks like a dork. I don't like
Oh,
slicked back hair in general. I thought I thought World 1 Ulrich was pretty cool. I never thought
yeah.
he was hot, quote unquote,
Okay.
but I liked the way he dressed. It was
Yeah.
consistent with his old his old metalhead persona. He always wore black and a little scruffy,
Yeah.
I think. So yeah.
Yeah, he's more of a
This
pop guy.
Ulrich's wears like pink button down shirts. I don't know.
Yeah, he's definitely like not as cool of a style. You're right. I mean, but I don't know. Who's that baby in her belly? Who who would that be? It
Who's
seems like that would be Jonas inside there, right?
who's the baby?
Yeah,
Oh,
inside Hannah's belly. Like, because
hmm.
we see all the three Conwald kids, and we pretty much meet everybody in this episode, and like there's a definite
Mhm.
person that doesn't live in this universe. And so,
Hmm.
if that baby was born, who's it going to be? Baby
That's
Jonas?
interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I don't know. Well,
We don't get an answer, of course. I'm
yeah,
speculating, but
yeah.
I'm with you. I'm with you, Hannah. I want to find out. She didn't invite me to the gender reveal party, so I think I'm off of the list.
But yeah, that's Hannah doesn't have to have an affair anymore. She's got the
Yeah,
man she
she's
wanted in this world.
she's legit. She should
So
be
we'll see
happy
if
as
she's happy
clams.
with what she got.
Yeah, that's right.
We'll
We'll
see if
see.
she's happy with what she got. Yeah.
Can't wait to see.
All right. So Marta too wears the iconic yellow raincoat and rides her bike to school. She looks lost like Jonas did at the beginning of season 1, but what weighs on her heart? Signs on telephone poles reveal that Eric Obendorf is missing.
Can I say what weighs on her heart? I'm not gonna make a joke. That was a really good opening for a joke. If I was James, that would have been a great opportunity for a joke. I was gonna say divorce because her parents are divorced and she doesn't want to go to her dad's house this weekend. And I wrote down something profound, Lindsay. I wrote down perhaps she feels the lack of something unknown to her. Like something's missing, but I have just no clue what it is. Got a
Hmm.
cool boyfriend, mom's in a good place, but something's just missing from my life. I don't know what it could be. That's what she's thinking when she's riding her bike down the road.
Hmm. Maybe.
I'm speculating.
Yeah. No, I mean you can tell that she's got something on her mind.
Yeah,
Now, when
pensive.
Jonas woke up, it was pretty clear that he was upset about his dad
Yeah.
feeling lost that way, but Marta has that same look. And I don't
Yep.
think we saw what she was dreaming about. So we don't have a
No, we
clue
did
about
not.
that.
That's right.
Yeah. But it is pretty cool that Marta's wearing that yellow raincoat
Yeah.
and she's she's Marta, but yet she's also Jonas in this
Yeah.
world.
That's right.
She's
In
doing
his
all the
bed.
things that he did.
Yeah. Riding his bike, wearing his coat. Yep.
She's
Dreaming his dreams.
the quote unquote star of this world. Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. That's right. Top billing.
Yeah. So, all right. Meanwhile, Jonas walks out of the caves in World 2. He's finally figured out how to get out. Poor guy.
I
And he
know.
looks around to see 2 armchairs instead of just one.
What? There's two?
No yellow raincoat for Jonas in World 2. He's
That's
gray
right.
as death. He's just wearing like dull colors.
Everything's dull. Yeah.
Marta enters the schoolyard with the building on her right, of course,
Hmm.
because it's mirrored. And as she enters the school, Magnus teases her about being late. The school's
See, what a jerk.
abuzz with kids in costume. I thought it might be actors in the school play, but I see Grim Reapers as well as the twins from The Shining.
And those twins were just standing against the wall. Like,
Mhm. Yeah, I was trying to figure this out, like what was going on, and the
yeah.
only thing I could come up with was that it's November 4th, and after Halloween, there's All Souls Day. I was like,
There's
are
a
the
lot of
kids
antlers. A lot of antlers happening.
a lot of antlers?
I saw like so no, seriously, I saw like almost everybody was carrying antlers around, which
Mhm.
mixes in, which ties in with what you're saying.
Yeah, people were wearing costumes. So, yeah, I was that caught my attention, and I wondered if it was a Germany thing of some kind. Like culturally, the kids after that time of year come to school dressed up in costumes. I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't either. We probably should
yeah.
have looked into that more.
I
But yeah,
tried to look up stuff, but I couldn't find anything. Yeah.
maybe just this school, this universe,
Mhm.
they they go all out. Yet it's
Yeah.
supposed to be November 4th. It's not supposed to be Halloween. So those two shining girls standing creepily by the lockers, completely still next to each other, like are
Yeah.
pretty out of place. I think it's just to freak us out and make us excited about that season 3 Dark is back.
Hmm. They're joined by Bartosh too, who dons an unfortunate mullet. I have no idea why they gave him this haircut. I do not like it. I already thought Bartosh was kind of a dork, but at least in World 1, he dresses pretty cool.
Oh, he's styling in World 1. He is the height of fashion
In World 1?
in
Yeah,
World 1,
and
yes.
yeah, in this world he's dressed like the nerds of America. I don't know what
He looks like a
he's
book
supposed to
nerd.
be here. Yeah.
He looks like a book nerd to me, like somebody who'd be in the library and dresses like in a comfortable way as opposed to a fashionable way. I think that's what they were going for was comfort over
Mm,
fashion because the old Bartosh was really into fashion and this
yeah.
mullet like it's I mean you're calling out some hairstyles here but I guess it's to be called out because everybody has a different hairstyle and this is a bad choice. It is a less cool Bartosh. I made a statement in one of
Yeah.
our communications at one point that like everybody in this world is like 10% hotter. And you were like, not Bartosh. He was 10% lamer.
Yeah, or maybe 50%.
Something along that. But it's kind of true.
Yeah. So Marta finds her boyfriend, Killian, in the crowd. In
Yeah,
World
not bad.
1, Killian we're like, "Yeah, who's Killian?" So in World
I remember
1,
Killian. Come on now.
a lot of people cannot find him. They're like, "Who's wait, do we know him in World 1?" And they 'cause he's never called out. He's never really brought to light. The
You and I
character of
called him out.
Killian is acting alongside Marta in the school play. So then but in this world, they're a couple. They
Right.
kiss jubilantly as if they're the most in love people that have ever been in love. Magnus and Bartosz look uncomfortable. Bartosz asks if
Hmm.
there's any updates on Eric. Of course, there's not. A voice on the intercom requests everyone come to an assembly.
Yeah, Killian. We talked about Killian. So, like, to us, I think I had no problem figuring who he was. Because, like, he had that, like, black, like, makeup on in the other play, and he had, like, a speech at one point, and he had a real affectation to his voice. I think he made kind of a small impression. Um, but yeah, it's interesting. Like, it seems you're spot on that Magnus and Bartosh both, like, kind of like looked at their phones and kind of like looked at each other, like, oh, okay, they're gonna do their
Mhm.
kissy thing again. But it doesn't seem to have the same like spirit as our Magnus and our Francisca, does it?
No, it does not. And I think it's interesting that there's this you're just wondering what's up. Is Marta the type of person I don't want to believe this about her because I like Marta, okay. I think she's one of our lead characters and actually World 2 Marta is pretty awesome. I really like her, but
Right.
it seems like she always has to be dating somebody.
That's her identity, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, she didn't
Yeah,
for
you're right.
I do like how I feel like Bo and Yantia are pretty good at giving females complex arcs and not making their stories just about their romantic lives.
Hmm.
But it is weird that like Marta, we see her, she seems like a pretty strong person in World 1. In World 1, she's in love with Jonas, but because he disappears for a little bit, she just goes with Bartosz, even though she obviously doesn't like him that much. And
Hmm.
then in this world, she's just dating Killian for doesn't really seem like she's really into him either, even though
We don't want him. We don't want her to
yeah,
be into him because we
yeah,
want Jonas. We want Jonas.
yeah,
We can't leave out the fact that Killian's brother is Eric, the redhead missing
right.
dude. So everybody's kind of sympathetic towards that, and everybody's nice to Killian. He's
Hmm.
you know, he's the you know, oh, nobody else is hanging out today. There's nobody. Yeah, okay. It's like he's like a poor man's Jonas, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's
So elsewhere, Helge repeats that it will happen again. He's holding a
yes,
1 Pfennig coin. In World 2, Helge's ears look fine, but his left eye is scarred over.
right.
Peter stands in the doorway watching his father with concern. Charlotte, too, comes in, looking much more fashionable than in World 1. She has makeup on and has ditched the bob for a longer, flowy hairstyle. Peter asks Charlotte, too, how her doctor appointment was, and she reports that this was just a regular checkup.
Aye, ma'am. Everything's just regular with these two, right?
Regular, just a regular checkup.
Yeah, she definitely is part of like the crew that's 50% hotter. She definitely looks way better. And because, you know, the last episode, she was just kind of drab and just, I don't know,
Hmm.
definitely a hotter Charlotte. Not this is an anti-therapy hairstyle that she has because it's nice and long and looks like she's been to the salon recently.
Yeah, she got rid of her bob. I said that.
Yeah, right.
She got a blowout instead.
That's right. Yes.
But yeah, Helge doesn't seem his personality doesn't seem to have changed too much.
Oh yeah, we glossed over our boy Helge. That's right. Except for he had to have a big old scar somewhere, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to imagine how he got that scar.
I don't know if I want to imagine it, but yeah. Peter looks. I mean, I'm not. I've never been one that like, oh, Peter's so hot, but I was like, Peter's looks are a little bit better too in this world. I feel.
Yeah, he's more put together. I'm more
Hmm.
into the bookish Peter with the sweaters and the beard
Yeah.
personally. But yeah, this is a good look, clean shaven, wearing all black, looking tight. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I like this look on him too. I would prefer if he grew his beard back out though.
Okay. Well, I'll let him know
Okay, please do.
that you said that. So Jonas stands in front of the Conwell house. He enters, finding the home looking both familiar and unfamiliar. He
Right.
notices the photo of the Nielsen's on the wall and walks upstairs to find his mirror image bedroom. Pictures on the wall show a trio of Bartosz, Marta, and Killian. There's no Jonas.
He looks at that picture like in horror, like Marta's got bangs. What the hell?
Bartosz has a mullet. What the hell?
I can't believe this place. But yeah,
Yeah.
he's got to be going through the ringer. He's in his house. He should be in that picture with his buddies, and he's not.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I'm feeling for the boy right now, and he is not. I, I don't know. Like I think last season I kind of grew kind of tired of Jonas, this actor Louis Hoffman, and he's won me back over big time. Like he's playing this despair really well, I think, and it doesn't seem like he's acting. It seems like he's really feeling this stuff. He's an
Yeah.
actor. Good job acting, Louis.
And even though I don't know, there were times he would go to this house and he was out of time, but at least it was his house. And now he comes to his house and it's not even his house anymore.
Right. Where is this center? That's right. Yeah. Good
Yeah.
point. Sweet Shot of Time is sponsored by Promoco RVA. Recreational use of marijuana is now legal in Virginia. But where do you get it? Google up Promoco RVA, that's spelled Promoco RVA, and schedule services with these guys. Sweet Shot of Time can vouch for their professionalism and their products. They have wide varieties of vapes, flower, edibles, everything you can think of, and they're open From Monday to Saturday, from 11 to 7, you can schedule your own appointment at your convenience, get verified online, and it's that simple. Promoco RVA for your Richmond, Virginia needs. Or if you're in DC, you can visit their storefront at 1813 18th Street Northwest. Or just check out the link in this description notes. Hey, Promoco, thanks.
All right, we're now at the Winden police station. Ulrich gives a report about the missing Eric. In World 2, Waller has both eyes but lacks a left arm. Poor guy.
Something's got to go, Waller. I don't know, but something's got to go.
Ulrich asks if the group has ideas. That's never a good idea. When you're the lead detective, anyone have any ideas?
I guess that is kind of like a sign of weakness. I thought it was I viewed it as differently, as like this is a collaborative effort. But you're absolutely right. He should be in charge.
Yeah. I mean,
good thing he's got Charlotte there, though.
We all like collaboration. Maybe he was just saying that for Charlotte's benefit. We all like collaboration, but when it comes to being the lead detective, we kind of want you're supposed to have the ideas and we carry out your vision.
Right.
So Charlotte mentions they still haven't seen the shift schedule at the power plant. Ulrich encourages her to follow that lead, and Waller will look at tire treads.
Right on. Yeah, Waller got a little makeover too, and like we see both of his eyes. He's always looking good. He's like our stylish, he's like the quiet heat. That's what we'll call it, the quiet heat. But Janowski, she did not get a makeover whatsoever. She looks exactly the same. I was pissed about that because she is makeover material. They could have done anything and nothing.
Waller's been shopping at Bass Pro.
Yeah, that's true. He has. He's come over to America. Or he shops online. Everybody can shop online now.
Yeah. Back at the Nielsen house, Hannah vacuums the floor. She notices Ulrich's hoodie and finds a blonde hair. Seems oddly familiar, yes? She smells the hoodie, gives it a good sniff for good measure.
You got to sniff that hoodie, sniff out the woman. And it's like, yeah, I saw this and I was like, that's weird. Is Ulrich cheating on his new wife with his old wife?
Cheating on the person he cheated with?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a serial bad guy. He's not fugly. I'm going to defend him there, but he's also not great.
I will say this, Hannah in this world seems to be a better housekeeper because she's vacuuming
absolutely.
the floor. And remember in World 1, she just sat around and smoked cigarettes, I think, and gave Alexander occasional massages.
That was one of the first things Jonas noticed when he walked into the new house in World 2. He looked at the kitchen table and it had all this bread and the table was immaculate looking. And he was like, huh? That's not right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't notice that, but you're right. It is a neater Hannah.
Well, I'm just noticing it too, that I never thought of Hannah as being a bad housekeeper, but it's why else would she have bad milk in her fridge?
Exactly. She was a bad housekeeper and getting her electricity cut off.
So Jonas enters the schoolyard of World 2. Bartosz is giving a report on black holes and wormholes. Apparently in World 2, Bartosz is a scientific genius. Marta draws infinity symbols. In walks Jonas. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, she must like the show Dark if she's drawn infinity symbols on her notebook.
In walks Jonas, repeating the stalkerish behavior of Magnus in a way.
Yeah.
He's not even trying to hide his neck scar or dirty appearance. The teacher mistakes Jonas for a new student. Jonas takes a seat in the back of the class. His hands shake. Marta turns to look at him. Somehow Jonas has a gravitational pull for her.
Yeah, the gravitational force, strong. That's exactly what Bartosz is saying. As all this is going on, he's staring at Martha and Martha's facing the front of the class. Bartosz is saying, there's a strong gravitational force. The light is pulled to it. And at that moment, Martha turns around and looks at Jonas. Then Bartosz says, no one knows what's behind. Maybe nothing, or maybe a new world in which nothing is as we know it. So it's again very cool with how the science lesson fits in with the chemistry that's happening within the classroom.
Hmm. Yeah, I like how Bartosz is giving this report too, because this is what he was making fun of Franziska about in
Oh
World One.
yeah. Yes.
She was doing
Yep.
one on black holes, and he was talking about the black hole in her butt, and yeah,
Yeah. Good call there. Completely forgot about that. Nice.
yeah. But yeah, he's dirty. He's dirty, dirty, dirty. Comes in. He's not looking. Jonas, I'm talking about, not Bartosz. Sorry, that was out of his fingernails are very, very dirty.
This is the beginning of Stranger Jonas. This is where Stranger Jonas begins with his dirty ass, like not caring behavior. So continue on.
At the wind and power plant, Charlotte puts in her request to review the shift schedules. Eric was last seen on Forest Road. She claims this could help her match tire treads. Alexander, too, seems unimpressed by this request. He wants a court order. Charlotte demurs, preferring to couch this as a request and not an order.
Mhm.
He agrees to work on it. She asks about his well being. Is Regina dead in this world? Yes, she is. That was a question at the time, but I'm just going to answer it because otherwise Steve's going to go, I'll answer that. So, yes, she's dead. She wonders if Eric could have wandered onto the ground. Alexander, too, counters that the entrances have been sealed.
This police interrogation with Alexander is going much nicer in this world than it was in the other world. They have like a mutual respect for each other. They're talking to each other like people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she is being a police officer.
Mm-hmm.
And she does do the Columbo thing where she walks out and she's like, one more thing, Alexander. you know. And Alexander, he looks good in this world too. I think he looks better in this world. Like the beard. Keep it up,
Mm-hmm.
Alex.
Yeah. Well, in this case, this is Charlotte.
Hmm.
In World One, it was Ulrich going in to put in his quote unquote request, which was not a request at all.
Maybe that's why.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Hannah
mean, you do
enters.
draw more. You draw more flies with honey than
Yeah.
with vinegar.
Yeah. Hannah enters the high school. A bored voice announces afternoon activities are canceled due to the parent meeting. As she walks down the
Ooh,
hall, she passes Katerina. Katerina tries to get by, but Hannah intercedes her. She came to see
so
if
rude.
she came to see Katerina, in fact,
Yeah.
and promises she won't get in the way of Ulrich having a relationship with the kids.
Like she's getting in the way in the hallway here, right?
She then asks if Ulrich went to see Katerina. Ah, here
Mm.
we get to it. She's wondering about that blonde hair.
Yep.
Katerina appears amused as if she can read Hannah's mind.
Yep. This is when I liked this Katarina when she started that little small smile and was like, "Oh, Ulrich's giving you some problems, huh? Interesting, Hannah."
Mm-hmm. I guess she's here for the parent meeting. Is that why Hannah's her
Yes.
good excuse for being here?
Yes, I would think so. Even though she doesn't really have one, but it seems like she's
Oh,
just
I think
making this
maybe she's
talk with
picking
Katarina
up.
the excuse.
I think maybe she's picking up. Uh, maybe she's picking up Marta and Magnus because they are going to their dad's house.
Could be. I don't know.
Yeah,
We could speculate.
yeah. I guess it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess that Hannah showed up specifically to. That's what I thought. that she showed up specifically to confront Katerina and just to ask her this random question.
Yeah. But what a weird, awkward thing to say.
Uh-huh.
I won't get in the way of Ulrich having a relationship with the kids. Nobody asked you about that.
Yeah,
Um,
that's right.
so yeah. So the bell rings to announce that class is dismissed. All the students depart except Jonas and Marta. Jonas approaches
Right.
Marta and asks why he's here.
Right, because he
Yeah,
thinks that this is the same one.
he
Yeah.
thinks it's the same one, the alt Marta. He assumes this
Yeah.
Marta is perhaps the Marta he met before. But if
Yeah.
Marta knows him, she's a great actress.
Uh-huh.
Jonas's appearance unsettles her, but she has never seen him in person. Killian interrupts the conversation, wondering what this dude wants with his girlfriend. Marta
Well, he's
leaves
not.
without another word. Sorry, Steve, go ahead.
I was gonna say he wasn't that weird about it. He was like, "Everything okay?" But he didn't. If this was an '80s movie, he would have said, "Hey, Pipsqueak, you talking to my girl?" But this is 2020, so he was giving her the benefit of the doubt.
I don't know. I feel like they coded him as like kind of a dumb jock type, even though he's not a
Yeah,
jock. I mean, they're coding him as like he's a poor person
yeah,
who lives
totally.
in the trailer with his parents. So I don't think, yeah, I mean, I feel like they kind of coded him as very jealous because there's a lot of scenes in this movie where he's like obviously annoyed that Jonas is there and acting like March is his property.
That's right. And yeah, for Jonas, this is really weird too, because like you're saying, he's thinking like, "Oh, this is the same other Martha that brought me here," even though her
Mhm.
hair is like longer now. And when she brought me here, she was shorter and she had a cut on her face. So that's
Yeah.
really interesting. Like we're seeing like these multiple versions of her.
So she leaves, Marta, when she leaves the room, she leaves her copy of Ariadne behind by
Hmm.
mistake. Jonas goes to pick it up, but he notices his hands are filthy and wipes them off. Jonas then asks the teacher what today's date is. Once he learns it's November 4th, 2019, he rushes off.
Right. I don't really have any notes for that other than like he did ask him for. He did say like the what year is it
Yeah.
thing, right? Like I nowadays, Lindsay, I don't think anybody would question that because of the pandemic and like the ups and downs of our country. I think if
Mhm.
somebody asked you what year is it again, I think that's acceptable because it's like it's not quite 2024. It seems like it was just 2019 last year, even though it was 2020 last year. So
Mhm.
I think everybody in this world is like giving him a hard pass for that. I mean, I think now is like the most ultimate like what year is it phase that we've been part of because of the pandemic. Um,
Mhm.
I don't know. I just
Yeah.
think it's nobody questions that now.
Yeah, maybe you're right. So on his way out of school, he meets Hannah and calls her mama.
Mama.
She shows care and concern for him, but doesn't try to continue the conversation when he doesn't answer. Jonas is shook. One
It's
thing I
clear
noticed
she
about
doesn't know who he is.
what, Steve?
I said it's like clear that she doesn't know who he is.
Right. She kind of almost looks through him, that kind of thing, where she sees him, but
Yeah.
well, I feel like she initially looked past him, but then one thing I've noticed about Hannah is despite all of her many flaws, she does seem to have this I don't know what you would call it. Like there's something about her that is drawn to these outcasts, people that are very lost
Sure.
because
Sure.
even one of the I almost wanted to make a meme or gif about this, but there was kind of a nice parallel when Jonas appears in the 1980s and Hannah and her father appear in the van by the
Mhm.
bus stop, and
Yeah.
she pulls over and she's like, "Are you okay? Like,
Mhm.
are you feeling," she sort of reaches out to him and is nice. And she does the same thing here, noticing he looks very lost. And then there's another character she meets in season 3 later, which hasn't happened yet, where the same thing happened, where she sort of reaches out to somebody in their moment of need.
And
But when it
Nickel.
comes to long-term relationships, she's not
Yeah.
always very nice. But when it comes to those, what do you call them? Like a happenstance
Mhm.
interaction where a meeting of providence, there's she has a kindness to her in those moments.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. And I'll give you 2 more examples, would be Mikkel and Ulrich. Like Mikkel when he was little and she met him and she was concerned for this kid and she befriended
Mhm.
him in the hospital. And then like when they were teenagers, Ulrich was like, she was attracted to like him because he was like this punk, like rebel kind of dude who smoked. So he had like another outcast type. So yeah, I think that's consistent with her
Mhm.
character.
Hmm. Well, I don't know if I agree she was that nice to Mikkel. He was more nice to her, and she was feeling insecure about her looks. So, um, it
She
wasn't
immediately said
exactly
he's
a
cool.
selfless act.
She immediately said he was cool though. Like, so that's cool.
She did, but she wanted attention though. I guess I'm talking about things where nobody's giving her. She's not getting anything back, and she's still, yeah. But yeah, those are good points too. I'm not opposed to it. I don't think those are quite the same, but yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Elsewhere in town, Charlotte enters the police station. She's interrupted by Ulrich, who pulls her into the same old storeroom where he used to hook up with Hannah. There
That's
we
right.
discover that in World 2, Charlotte and Ulrich are having a fling.
Ah,
That blonde hair has now
yep.
been identified.
The
Charlotte thinks they
DNA.
need to end the affair, but Ulrich manages to shush her with the power of his kisses. However, Waller opens the door and almost catches them in the act. So Ulrich can't seem to stay loyal to any woman. In World
Nope.
1, he had an affair with Hannah. In World 2, he obviously left Katarina for Hannah, but even then, he has a dalliance with Charlotte. It's hard to imagine the stoic Charlotte giving
Mm-hmm.
in to Ulrich's advances, even though we know they have a good working relationship. She seems so practical. That's just my personal aside. See,
Mm-hmm.
to me, like this affair between them doesn't make much sense, but I understand for the storytelling of Ice, they had to have him have an affair with somebody. It might as well be Charlotte.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Yeah, he has an affair of somebody, so sure, she's the obvious choice. They had they didn't have anything like a chemistry happening in their relationship in World 1, but they did,
Mhm.
like, have, like, a mutual respect and friendship, and she knew
Mhm.
that he was cheating, so they were,
Yeah.
kinda intimate friends, so I think it kinda makes sense. Like, just this Charlotte just is, I don't know, more out there, more willing to go to the salon and get that Brazilian blowout and hang out with some married man.
um, Wooler has found some information on the tire tracks. He shares his findings with them. Charlotte offers to cross check his tire tread stuff with her shift schedule report.
You're
The two of
right.
them walk off, leaving Ulrich behind. At least Charlotte keeps her priorities in order. She can still do her job.
She can. I'm also seeing something else here. Like, they keep looking at each other, Waller and Ulrich. They're, like, squaring up. They don't like each other
Mm,
too much. I think
yeah.
this is just a wild speculation, but I'm thinking, like, Waller's a handsome single man. Um, well, no, Charlotte's not available. I think he just sees what's going on, I guess, and just
Mhm.
disapproves. I was gonna say that, like, he wanted to have an affair with Charlotte. He dug Charlotte. But then I forgot that she's married to Peter. So I think it's just a disapproving thing on Waller's part.
Yeah. I feel like in World 1, we know that he was always kind of sidelined. Wooler was always kind of sidelined at
Oh
work,
yeah.
given the worst jobs. But there is sort of this subtle feeling that he's not as dumb, like, as people think. Like, he notices stuff too. But in World 2,
Oh
I feel
yeah.
like they kind of hit it even harder. Like, he definitely I agree with you. They're definitely showing in his facial expressions that he knows exactly what he almost walked in on, and yeah.
Hmm.
In this world, he has 2 eyes, and where in the other one, he only had 1 working eye.
I got two eyes on you, Ulrich. I see what you're doing.
Alright, so then Marta and Killian rehearse for the school play. Marta reads her line. So this is in the stage of the school. They're practicing with the group. It's not just the 2 of them. Marta
Correct.
reads her lines. From then on, I knew that nothing changes, that all things remain. The spinning wheel turns round and round, just like the wheel of time, Steve. The
I
spinning
thought about
wheel
that.
turns round and round in a circle, one fate tied to the next, a thread, red like blood, that connects all our deeds. One cannot unravel the knots, but they can be severed. He severed ours with the sharpest blade, and yet something remains behind that cannot be severed, an invisible bond. On many a night he tugs at it, and then I wake with a start, knowing that nothing ceases to be, that all remains. These lines overlap. I was going to let you, I'll just read this. Okay. These lines overlap with the
No.
monologues Marta read in World 1. Speaking of an invisible bond, she wraps the red thread around her wrist. As she reads these lines, she notices that Jonas enters the auditorium.
Yep. I didn't have any comments about this because I I just don't have any notes for this part. Lindsay, I'm sorry to say for Marta's speech there. Did you have anything that you noticed about that you wanted to delve into?
I mean, I think there's a lot of there's a lot of obvious tie-ins to the plot
Sure.
about Marta and Jonas that they're that they're these knots, that things that can't be severed. Alt Marta had told Jonas
Hmm.
that their worlds were intertwined, and in this world there's a severing, but yet something remains behind that cannot be severed, and we see that even though she
Wait.
doesn't want to be, this Marta is also drawn to Jonas. So there's the invisible bond. So there's a lot of things in this speech that seem to be speaking to what's between Marta and Jonas across the 2 worlds. And we did see her wake up with a start, just like in the speech also, having this dream. We don't know what she was dreaming about.
Hmm.
So it's just, I think it's a cool choice of what lines she was reading matched with the script.
Did. I thought that we had like she had read these same lines before though. But you're saying like this part about the severedness, the sharpest knife, that's like a new theme that's being introduced this season.
There were lines read before in the play in World 1, but I do not think they were these exact lines.
Okay, see, I was thinking they were, and that's why I didn't really have much to say. But I don't remember. Now that you mention it, I don't remember that line about the sharpest knife severing. So that must be like tying in with this world too here, which yeah, I'm glad we're still
I
in
think
world two.
in World 1 the lines she read were about her relationship with her brother.
Yeah, they were.
Um
Yeah.
yeah. So Jonas overhears Killian and Marta making plans to meet under the bridge at 9 p.m. Jonas
Hmm.
approaches Marta to speak to her again, but she wants him to leave her alone. Jonas grabs her arm and tries to get her to understand that he's here to help, that Mikkel is at risk. He begins to talk about Mikkel and Michael Conwald, but now Marta really wants nothing to do with him. She clearly feels no warmth towards Hannah. I wrote that because he mentions Michael Conwald married to Hannah
Hannah, yeah.
Conwald, and that really gets her mad because
Yes.
he mentions the word Hannah. So that sort of triggers her already avoidant behavior to really be like, please leave me alone.
Yeah, with great reason, Marta. Anybody coming at you acting like this, get away as quickly as you can. Like, I mean, in this situation, we don't want that to happen, but it's clear why, because it's so obviously bothering her. And
Mm-hmm.
especially he's bringing up her brother and saying that, she just came from play practice and she's bummed about her dad. What's all this crazy stuff you're throwing at me? And now you're talking about Hannah? Like, that's why I stiff armed you when you were saying that Hannah was giving Magnus and Marta a ride home. I was like, I don't think so, because I don't think she likes Hannah much based on this.
Oh, she doesn't. But you can't always
Oh,
decide who comes to pick you up. I know that very well.
yeah, you're right about that. You're right about that. But cool shot alert, because like when Jonas is standing there and he's got the play background, which they
Mm-hmm.
really went all out for this play. This school is
Mm-hmm.
really into their drama department. Um, and that painting is really reminiscent of Adam's painting, right? It kind of reminded me of that a little bit.
The backdrop of the
Mm-hmm.
cave behind Jonas.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Mm,
I don't know if it was supposed
yeah.
to make me think that or not, but it did.
It just made me think of him being in front of the cave. That it
Yeah.
was him. But yeah, it is a cool set, cool backdrop. Um yeah, he's not exactly doing a very good job convincing her to talk to him. He's hitting it a little too hard, I feel. That
But he's scattered too. He has no agenda right now. He's like, Martha dropped me off, and now there's this other Martha here. I need to find answers. I went to my house, nothing there. Um, yeah,
yeah.
I'm with you, buddy. I'm sorry, Jonas.
Yeah. He's following her around. We understand why he is, but it is kind of wild to think back to. I remember the Jonas from season 1 who just seemed so shy and barely could look at Marta, and here he is following her around and grabbing her arm, and yeah.
Yeah, this is the experience. This is the Jonas who's seen some shit. Yeah.
All right, elsewhere, Magnus walks towards the bunker. The sound and direction lead us to believe that something ominous is happening.
I know. I love this.
But Magnus is just here for another tryst with Franziska.
It's a perfect hookup
Franziska
spot. It's perfect.
Franziska wears a red plaid dress and a fitted coat. She looks happy to see him. I'm missing the surliness of Franziska in World 1, but this Franziska is sweetly in love with Magnus.
Yep. They've got that like unbreakable charisma together. There ain't no separating these two here. I'm sorry, Lindsay, but
Mm-hmm.
he's he's all about this woman,
Yeah,
Francisca.
I'd have to really campaign for World 1 Magnus, I think, if I was going to have a shot.
Oh yeah,
Uh
yeah, correct. I was
yeah.
like, if you want to go for this Magnus, you're gonna have to do some serious time traveling and like mess up like her birth or something.
Yeah. Magnus comes on strong and aggressive, but Francisca slows him down. She wants some of the control. She sits him down on the bench and begins to take some of her clothes off. She then kisses Magnus. They make love slowly and both say, I love you. There's no
Hmm.
you're beautiful in this relationship.
Right.
However, I kind of miss the angsty World 1 chemistry. It makes you wonder if Francisca is less aware of her parents' unhappy marriage in World 2. This is what the part
Yeah.
you were talking about. I guess I just think, okay, these two are very in love, but I felt like for me, the chemistry of World One, Francisca and Magnus, was so great because it wasn't
Yeah,
all sunshine, puppies, and rainbows. It was a little more
that's right.
fiery.
Yeah, it was interesting. There was conflict. I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, that's good TV. Just watching two people in love. I mean, we love to see it just because of this show is showing like an alternate version of these
Yeah.
two. So it's wonderful. But I mean, if this is the couple that we've always known, they would make us sick and we'd be like, "Oh, it's the kissy couple again. We don't want to see that crap." I mean,
Yeah.
but I mean, here I'm championing it because I like that they have they found love in a hopeless place. You know that song,
Mhm.
right?
I never liked that song until it was in the movie. It's one of the ones I asked you to watch, with Shia LaBeouf and yeah, anyway. Alright, we'll
Yeah, I
move
don't
on.
remember. Sorry. Yeah.
Elizabeth enters the family home. In this world, Elizabeth speaks and can hear.
hmm
She's wearing a red hoodie and braids. Helge sits on the couch, mumbling, "It will happen again." Elizabeth calls for her parents, but no one else is home. Helge begins to ramble again. He suddenly grabs her arm and says, "The beginning is the end, and the end is the beginning."
Don't grab your kid like that, Helge. Come on. I, I hated seeing that. I mean, as a
Mm,
kid that was grabbed by people, I don't like seeing him do that. So I'm like, you're supposed to be nice, Helge. You're supposed to be the
mhm,
nice guy here. But I think it's shocking that she isn't deaf.
mhm,
When I first saw this, it blew my mind because I honestly thought that she was deaf. Um,
mhm,
that which speaks, great to her ability as an actress to play a deaf person. So I was just shocked that she was acting that whole time. This is very
mhm.
interesting stuff.
Yeah, her performance is so great. You think she's actually that the actress playing Elizabeth is also deaf, and to see her speak is,
Yeah,
yeah, it's quite a thing.
the way she signed, it's like she sold it. She's a kid. Like kid to do that is just great. And we're not playing the color game, but that's interesting that she comes in with that red hoodie instead of
Mhm.
like her orange fox thingy. Because yeah, red wasn't her color last time around, was it? Last time around being World One.
Yeah, no, it wasn't really her color. I don't really remember seeing her wearing particular colors a lot,
Okay.
but she also wasn't really I don't know if I've seen her wear braids before, too. So I think her
Oh,
hair was usually down in the other world. I feel like Elizabeth wore long hair. So, yeah, visually she looks very different. They
yeah.
don't give
I mean,
her
yeah.
much to do, but yeah.
Well, she gets grabbed by Helge. That's exciting. I mean,
There's a long tradition of kids and adults grabbing each other in Bo and Yancha's work. They have to, like, keep it up.
that's true. That's true. Yeah.
So Jonas enters the graveyard of the St. Christopher Church. He's looking for the
Hmm.
grave of his father. Peter is now the priest and wonders if he can help Jonas. We find Regina's grave, confirming that she's dead. There is no Michael Conwald buried here. Peter remarks that a Daniel Conwald died in 1964. Jonas speculates that he's there to make sure that it doesn't happen. Peter feels like he's seen Jonas before.
Yeah, that's the interesting part. Like that Peter has that feeling because it seems like nobody else is really recognizing Jonas.
Mhm.
So that's really odd that Peter says that, I thought.
Mhm. Yeah. It is odd.
And this is why he's wearing like all black because he's a priest. He's a he's a holy man here. He's a holy roller. Um and it's kind of cool that like there's no Michael Conwald, but there is Daniel Conwald. So he's around. And we remember him. He played a very small role in the past seasons, but I mean,
Mhm.
he came up every now and then as that police officer. And I just think it's kind of neat that that he's still there, but then Michael is not. And I wrote down
Yeah.
another note that might be a spoiler, so I won't say it.
Okay. Yeah, Jonas, at least okay, I feel this is good TV here. Jonas has given up for the moment following Marta around, and he's gonna do some of his own investigation. Yeah, because I like that. That
Yeah,
he realizes I have now he wasn't as good as Claudia. He hasn't gone to the library. He could learn a lot at the library,
you're right. You're right.
but yeah, that's not really his scene, I guess.
He
But
should
yeah,
make
I
it his
like
scene. Everybody should.
they should. Everybody should go to the library. There should be more scenes filmed at the library. I agree with that. But yeah, it is interesting to think about why Peter feels like he's seen Jonas before. It makes you wonder that is there going to be it makes you wonder if there's going to be a scene where you see like later on Peter and
Yeah, yeah,
Jonas
yeah.
interacting.
This
Yeah.
is episode 1. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. On World 1 now, it's September 21st, 1987.
That's
The 3
interesting that it took us
people
back that far, right?
yeah. So they warped we didn't see them warp, but they did warp. Yeah,
Yes.
okay, they did warp, yes. On World 1, it's September 21st, 1987. The 3 people known collectively as the Unknown, these are the 3 people we saw burning the Sigmundus layer.
Right.
They walk towards the Doppler mansion. We know it's World 1 because of the warping effect that happens when we change worlds, but also the fonts are facing the regular way.
Right. That's
The
right.
youngest enters the home without knocking. Bernd Doppler calls a greeting. He wonders if this young boy is lost. The boy accuses Bernd of keeping the master key to the power plant. Bernd tries to take control and demand the boy leave, but the boy is unfazed. He picks up an apple from the fruit bowl in the foyer.
Is he
Burn
Noah's buddy?
starts Burn starts to call for the police, but the other 2 forms enter and stop Burn from making that call. The middle unknown says, "Nothing is in vain, no breath, no step, no word, no pain, an everlasting miracle of the one." He then proceeds to strangle Burn using the wire, while the other 2 silently watch.
Well,
And this is the same quote Noah used in World 1. Noah said this to middle-aged Helge to comfort him. The unknown uses the same phrase as a threat to Bernd.
that's an awesome juxtaposition there. I didn't catch that until you pointed it out to me. That's really neat. That the same words can be like a comfort and then also like a threat, and then you kill somebody.
Mhm.
Yeah, so these guys are obviously like the younger, middle age, and old version of the same dude because they all had like the
Mhm.
same lip, the same clothes, the same mannerism. So
Mhm.
like ever since his kid was a kid, that's all he wanted to be, was to grow up to be this old man, I guess. And I hate this. I don't like this. It's unnecessary. I know why they're doing it, for the cool factor, right? It's like, okay, we got this time traveling people. Okay, let's make this trio, old, middle aged, young. It'll be cool. I think it's not cool. I don't. I don't understand. I think it's needless. I just don't like this. And the way they cross their little arms at the same time, like they have the same mannerisms and stuff. Um, because I love the show Dark, and I don't like that these people are coming in here ruining my Dark. So,
Hmm.
I have
Yeah, I
feelings,
think
Lindsay.
there's a lot of mixed and strong feelings about the unknown. Um I think that what's interesting about the unknown is we've seen in the show in the past, we've seen instances where a character interacts with another version of themselves. So we
Yes.
had older Helge and middle-aged Helge having a
Hmm.
face-to-face. We also saw that with, obviously, stranger Jonas and Jonas and Adam.
Hmm.
Usually these interactions are brief, for a purpose, and initiated by
Hmm.
one person. So these three are like a superhero team. they travel as a trio. Like the Three Musketeers, all for one and one for all. So it's kind of like teaming up with yourself,
Hmm.
and it's interesting, but it does make me wonder. Well, why haven't the other people tried this?
Hmm.
Like it's sort of a good idea in a way. Like, what if Stranger Jonas and Jonas had teamed up? They could do some stuff, but most of the versions we've seen are hiding information from themselves. I don't feel like these three are
No.
hiding anything from each
No,
other.
that's what's so weird about it.
Yeah.
Like, because you knew this little kid's just going to grow up to be both of these guys. And it seems like you want to hide that from your younger self, or like not hide it, but I don't know, not ready to be killing somebody when you're like 12. Come on, man. I don't know, let's get away from these guys. I want to talk about some other
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. They're creepy. They're creepy.
Yeah.
Like one person
Yes.
strangling somebody while the other two are just sitting there.
Yes. Creep factor
It's
high.
creepy. At least,
Yes.
join in if you're gonna stand there. grab a handlebar or something.
Yeah, you poke his eyes out and you like tickle his feet or something.
It would just be really creepy. It's like anytime you see somebody being tortured or hurt and there's like an audience,
Mhm.
I just think how that would feel. Like, not only are you being hurt, but you're also like, people are just standing around doing nothing. And here's Bernd,
Yeah.
who's being subjected to this. Yeah, it's not a happy scene. I got you.
No.
I got you,
Yeah, I'd
Steve.
be
All right,
like,
let's move on.
yeah.
All right. We then warp back to World 2. Alexander visits Jurgen Obendorf. He mentions that the police came today and that Jurgen knows what to do. He hands Jurgen a pile of money. Well, at least he gets
Cool.
money this time. I don't remember him seeing him give other Jurgen money in World 1.
There was an envelope that was passed around. I guess that had
Okay.
money in it in World
All right.
1. But I speculated at this point like what was going on, but then it's answered later on in the episode. They're
Mhm.
here for a barrel transfer.
A barrel transfer. Yeah, a lot of the action that happens in World 2 is sometimes like abbreviated because they know we've already seen it. So they just kind of
Yes.
go, okay, here's little clues and you fill in the blank of what's going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, which is great. I'm
Hmm.
glad I think they handled it perfectly.
Yeah. Marta rides her bike to meet the others at the bridge. She's wearing the yellow raincoat.
Mm.
She walks under the bridge, bouncing on the railroad tracks. Her steps falter and she hears a twig snap.
Hmm?
Jonas shows up again. It was Jonas all along. She wonders what he wants and why he keeps following her.
Yeah.
This time he actually tries talking some sense to her. He tells her they do know each other in another time, which isn't exactly correct. Another world would be more accurate.
Yeah.
Marta has no idea what to do with Jonas. She's already told him to get lost, but he keeps coming back. He steps towards her, begging her to remember the glitch in the Matrix. At these words, Marta freezes.
Yeah, she's like a Peter here, where it seems like she kind of has a vague memory of that too. That's very
Mm-hmm.
cool.
Yeah. Jonas continues that he thinks he knows why he's here to stop it from happening, to
Hmm.
change it.
It.
Magnus and the others then walk up. they're confused why Jonas is there, as everybody is. Jonas is confused as to why Mikkel isn't with them. Then Mikkel's
Right.
babysitter didn't show up. Magnus is totally confused because Mikkel is old enough to stay by himself. This is a clever bit of writing because Mikkel has aged 3 years since Dark Season 1 started in 2017. So they cleverly make Mikkel older in World 2. Jonas is encouraged once again to back off.
Yeah, all the other kids are like the same age because they're still riding bikes around and walking everywhere. They're not driving
Mhm.
cars. So like,
Yeah.
yeah, they aged Mikkel up. Super clever. And yeah, you don't want to be Magnus's enemy either or his sibling because like, yeah, he'll leave you tied up in a cage or he'll like step up on you and be like, get away from my sister.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, you want to be Magnus's friend. You want to ideally be Magnus's mate, but you also want to be his pal mate as well. Not a sibling, not an enemy.
Either a lover or
Hmm. Or a pal. Yeah.
a
When I
pal.
say mate, I mean like a friend. Yeah.
Did we see him with any friends? I guess sort of Killian
Bartosh.
is.
Bartosh is a steady. He's
Yeah,
always
okay.
around.
Yeah.
And yeah, Killian now too, by default, because he's hanging out with Marta. But he seems to be accepting of him.
Yeah. It
Like they
is
run off like
interesting
hooting and
that
hollering.
yeah. It is interesting that Marta is like glitch in the matrix. There's something about that. So she doesn't remember, she doesn't know Jonas at all, but there's something about the words or something that get to her. So,
It's happened to
yeah.
me before. Like when I've been somewhere and like I'm like, I swear this has happened before. I think I've dreamed this. Like
Mhm.
that's happened to me, but it's never happened when another person was standing there, like telling me to remember. It's just been like a random occurrence, but it
Mhm.
seems like that's happening here to her.
Yeah. Or you see somebody and well, this isn't the case with her, but I was thinking about me personally. Sometimes I'll see people and it happens more and more as you get older. You see people and you're
Mm-hmm.
like, I've met them, haven't I?
Yep.
I
Yep.
really have met them. And then you actually, I have before been like investigated it and been like, "Oh yeah, now I remember who it is." And then I figure out who the person is that I'm thinking of and it's like, it's a different person, but they look very similar.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
I've heard this theory before that there's actually like only 10 kinds of faces in the world. And so after a while people start
Right.
to look similar to somebody you have met when you were a kid and they remind you of that person.
That's right. I've been fascinated by that. I know exactly what you're talking about, and you can like put everybody in one of those 10 categories. Some people are heavier or like have like facial hair or different features, but I mean, it's really
Mhm.
fascinating, like, because 'cause I'll meet people and I'm like, "This person has that face, this person has that face." It's really
Mhm.
neat, and it can lead to that kinda stuff, but I swear when I was in 10th grade, a new person started up that I swear I had a dream about that person, like, a couple of months before, and then they showed up as a new student at school, and it freaked me out, and it probably was nothing. It was just, a dream, and then a person that looks similar to them showed up to my school, but I told myself that like I dreamed about that person. Oh my god,
Mhm.
now they're here. I've always been a dork, Lindsay.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet. At the police station, Ulrich leaves for the parent meeting and offers to take Charlotte with him. She accepts his offer. The all seeing Wooler and Ulrich share a glance.
It's not a good thing to announce to the office. Let's ride together. If you're going to
Yeah.
the same place, it doesn't make sense. It just does not.
Mhm. Yeah, but I mean, this is the same ploy that Hannah would use because she'd be like, "Can you give me a ride to this or that?
Oh, that's
Drive me
right.
home after I brought this soggy casserole to your house." And
Of
yeah.
course. It's Ulrich style.
Hannah arrives home to an empty house, echoing the feeling of Doris Tiedemann, who spent so many nights alone waiting for Egon to arrive. I could be reaching a little there, but it made me think of her
No,
just being in her
I
house.
agree.
Being in the house. She looks at Ulrich's folded hoodie.
She's destined to be dour. That's what I wrote.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a house of loneliness. The Nielsen house.
Yeah, yeah.
Katerina would wait for Ulrich.
Mhm.
Hannah's waiting for him here. Yana's waiting for Trant.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are spaces. There's like this concept of, there's a space and the same things can happen in the same space. It has a certain energy. And
Mhm.
this house seems to have an energy of women waiting for their men to show up.
Yeah, no matter if it's World 1 or World 2, it's gonna be the same vibe.
Mm-hmm. Back in the woods, Marta, Killian, Magnus, Franziska, and Bartosz walk toward the caves. Killian questions Marta about Jonas. Meanwhile, Bartosz is just as friend zoned in this world. Bartosz claims that Nostradamus predicted the apocalypse was nigh in 2019. Magnus jokes that it's good that his girlfriend has a bunker then. And it just dawned on me personally, not just now, but when I did the recap, that Franziska is quite familiar with the bunker. Whereas in World 1, we never see her in the bunker.
Yeah, that's
So,
right.
yeah, it was confusing to me when I first saw this. I was like, why are they meeting to have sex in the bunker? Isn't that Helge's bunker? And I was like, oh, it's her grandfather.
That's right. But yeah,
Yeah.
she never had any connection to Helge in the other world. That's correct. She was
Mm-hmm.
also kind of bitter and unfriendly in the other world as well. I mean, she's also deaf, so she has a completely different worldview as
Yeah.
well than she normally would. And I think it's really interesting that in World 1, or Bartosz, like, I think he punched her. I think he punched her, and they went to the cave to get drugs.
He
Like
pushes
here, they're
her.
going to, okay, yeah, he pushes her down.
Yeah.
And here, she's part of the gang. In the
Mm-hmm.
other world, they were there to look for drugs
Yeah.
because Eric might have had drugs. In this world, they're just looking for Eric in general because they're
Mm-hmm.
hanging out with his brother and they're concerned
Yeah.
about him. There's no drugs involved.
Yeah. Marta keeps
Oh,
hearing. Go ahead. Did you want to say something else?
yeah, this Nostradamus predicted the apocalypse was nigh in 2019. I thought that was 2012. I thought it was like 2012 was supposed to be the big year that the world ended, and then everybody was bummed out that the world didn't end in 2012.
I don't even know who Nostradamus is.
Oh, really? Yeah, he was like he predicted hundreds of things that have came true, and that's why people put. I thought it was 2012 that he predicted the world would end. That's interesting to me. Look him up next time you're in the library. He's right
I
there at
mean,
your
I think I have
fingertips.
looked this after I wrote this. I think I actually did Google it, but I don't even remember what it is. I guess it's a person.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
philosopher, ancient philosopher, like 11th, 12th century, I believe. Fact check me on that.
Mm,
But yeah, it predicted like a bunch of stuff that would happen that actually did happen. Like most of his stuff that he predicted did come true. More stuff that he predicted. I mean,
mm.
like some of the big stuff, like when the world would end, obviously did not. But then those dates are always up for debate. What calendar were you looking at?
I think
That
maybe
kind of
you're
thing.
right, Steve, because one of the recap shows that I listened to, I think they mentioned that Bartosh's statement wasn't even correct. But
Yeah. Hey,
yeah,
heck yeah. I love having
maybe they put
backups.
it in here to show that Bartosz isn't as smart as everyone thinks he is. I don't know.
It's because of the mullet.
Yeah.
Mullets make you dumb. No offense to our mullet wearing audience.
All two of you. Okay. Marta keeps hearing noises in the woods. Jonas then arrives at his World 1 home, the Conwald house, which is now the Katarina Nielsen house.
Hmm.
In either world, Michael ends up sleeping in the top room.
That's neat. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They walk toward the caves. In this world, they aren't here to find a stash of drugs.
I'm sorry, I
Magnus.
did it again.
It's okay. People won't remember everything you say. Saying it a second time's fine. Magnus speaks of a cave monster and all the experiments done back in the day. The cave
Hmm.
monster reminds us of the myths of the Minotaur. They hear noises inside the cave, noises of the wormhole opening. Their flashlights flicker and they all run like roaches. Marta trips and falls. When she stands again, everyone is gone. She looks for one of her companions in the dark. Someone calls her name. She turns to see an image of World 1 Marta in the white dress, covered in black pitch.
That's open for conversation now, right? That's
Yeah,
weird. This is
Marta, I'll say this Marta then runs.
right.
Go ahead, Steve. Comment
Oh yeah,
away.
forgot. Marta runs. Oh yeah, that's what you're gonna do when you see like a weird figure of yourself that's covered in black ooze. Um, we talked about this in season one, when he being Jonas saw
Mhm.
Michael also covered in the black stuff.
Right.
So when we talked about it then, I think the same rules apply. It was heavily implied that it was not a hallucination, that it was a vision that was shown to them, and like that they're covered like in that black stuff because not because it's like paint like we thought with Michael, but
Mhm.
because it resembles like the God particle from like season 2.
Yeah. Or like, yeah, time travel residue,
Yeah.
the even just the dirt of the caves, of the time portals, the wormholes, all that. Yeah.
If this was the Wheel of Time, I would say like this is like the pattern giving her a vision of what could be, because that happens in the Wheel of Time all the time, where people get seen visions of glimpses of other worlds that they could have lived. And I believe that this is the exact same theme carried over, um, to this. So again, like this is like a thing that makes sense to me. That kind of concept that you get shown flashes of, alternate realities of what could be.
Hmm. Yeah, I think I made a post about this in the Facebook group that this sort of perplexed me because in World 1, Jonas sees Michael
Hmm.
and he sees it at the moment that Mikkel disappears too. Like the whole Mikkel disappears, and then he sees this vision of Michael.
Hmm.
And there's so much mirroring going on that I think that's what was getting to me because for Jonas, the thing that triggers his journey through time is this inciting incident with his father and this belief that he can save his father, that he's responsible, and that if he can
Right.
only find the right path, he could save
Okay.
his dad and that would make everything right again. And so I was trying to think of how that lined up with the call for Martha.
Right.
What is the exciting incident for Martha? Well, in the way it's not, why would it be Marta in the white dress? It's like I feel like her inciting incident that we've seen so far through evidence somehow is connected with Jonas. So I
Hmm.
thought, well, wouldn't it have made more sense if she saw a vision of Jonas and she sort of wanted to save him and that he's
Hmm.
the person calling her, but instead she sees this vision of herself in the white dress, like her
Hmm.
other self. So it just, I guess that didn't. I was trying to ask somebody like, help me understand why that would be her inciting incident. Incident.
Yeah, I can't answer that, but I can say that I think that we know that the white dress Martha like represents like the height of Martha. Like that's when she and Jonas like hooked
It's their
up.
wedding day and all that.
Yeah. So that's my only guess I could my only like half-assed guess I could make is that somehow shows her a glimpse of what she's missing out on here in this world. World
Mm.
two, she's got this half-ass Killian guy. She could have this nice white dress and in this other life in world one. Come on over to this side. It's better, you know?
Yeah. Well, you did say something's missing in her life, so maybe I guess it would be more convincing if that Marta looked happy instead of dead. It's like in that world, Marta is
True.
dead, so why would that be? Why would that be compelling? But yeah, she's. I guess it's like, oh, maybe I could be that girl who makes that beautiful girl in the white dress. If he would
Yeah.
only notice me. Yeah, could be. I like that. Even though I'm not sure I agree with it, but I'm like, I like that.
Yeah. Something to think about.
It's a red thread that I can follow. Okay, so the interlude music begins. Bad Kingdom is the title of the song by May and Robot Koch.
Robot cock.
It's spelled Koch.
Okay, I
Listeners,
didn't catch
don't
that. I did
listen to
not catch that
Steve's.
until you said it out loud. That's when I finally was
That's
like,
why I
"Oh,
said Koch. I didn't say. You noticed that? I guess not. All
oh
right.
well."
So
Let's move on. Yeah.
at the high school, the lights flicker too. Katerina is in the hallway, concerned. Hannah notices the lights in her bedroom. She puts her hands on her belly protectively. Ulrich and Charlotte make out, but they notice dead birds falling from the sky. Very romantic. Jurgen loads yellow barrels into a tractor trailer. Marta runs from the vision. Killian finds her. Jonas finds Mikkel safely asleep in his bedroom. He feels
Hmm.
confused at why he's there. The teens escape to the bunker.
Yes. I guess let's pause before this next bunker part because I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to butt in and say that, yeah, Jonas is super confused because, like, Marta gets lost. Oh no, Martha's lost. But then Killian's there. And not only is Killian there, but the whole gang is there. Everybody came back from Martha, so they're good.
Mm-hmm.
Mikkel's in bed. He's good.
Mm-hmm.
So Jonas is like, what just happened? What did I not do? I think that's what he's feeling here is like something was supposed to happen and it didn't
Mm.
happen.
Yeah. And he came back. He's here. I guess I missed putting this in the recap.
What's that?
Jonas is at the Conwald house once again. So that's
Yes.
why I said that
Oh, you put it in there.
Jonas finds Mikkel safely asleep in his bedroom. He actually enters the house. He like walks in there and actually looks at him, down on him, almost like Stranger Jonas did with Teen Jonas. So
He
he
wants to make
finds
sure
him
that
there.
Magnus was right, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he's very confused at why he's there because at first he thought I'm here to somehow do something
Yeah.
for Marta and like to save Marta. But then he's like, well, maybe I'm here to save Mikkel.
Hmm.
And yeah, but he's like, Mikkel doesn't need saving. So why am I here? It's very confusing. At the bunker, so the teens are all there, meaning all the teens except for Jonas. A
Hmm.
portal opens. Out drops the body of Mads Nielsen. We know because Marta finds his ID. It's around his neck. The
Yes.
travelers send him with a name tag clearly marked.
Yeah, this is completely consistent with World One. Like this exact same thing happened at this time, right? Because Helge came and grabbed Mads and then planted him over in the woods. So this is
Mhm.
100% consistent.
No
Except
name
for the
tag.
what's that now?
There was no name tag in World
Right.
1 there because there was a
Okay.
whole who is this? Who is this
Sure.
body?
Sure. 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 That's right. That's right. Okay. Yeah. But I mean, the same thing happened though. The portal came through and all that. I think yeah, I think he came through with the name tag, and then when Helge came to drag his body off, he probably pocketed that name tag. It's my guess.
Okay.
Um, but
Yeah.
these kids have now seen something crazy, all 5 of them. They're standing there watching this happen. I think now they're probably more apt to believe Jonas because they've seen some like crazy rips in reality. And they got
Mm.
Bartosz there, who's like Mr. Science nerd. So I think maybe Jonas might might be able to talk to these guys maybe tomorrow. We'll see.
Well, I think when Mads comes through in World 1, it's Peter that
Yeah.
finds him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Peter and Tronte are sitting there.
Yeah, it's not the teens, so it's the different people are finding the bodies. But yes, the same thing, the portal and all that.
Yeah. Same body.
Okay, Jonas walks outside the Conwald house, feeling lost. A figure emerges from the shadows, an older woman with gray hair and bangs.
Uh,
She has waited a long time to see him again. He has been through this before, so Jonas doesn't shrink back this time. The
yeah.
woman tells him that in this world, Mikkel didn't travel back, that in this world, Jonas doesn't exist. She points out that Jonas wanted a world without him, yet here we are. This world isn't any better. Everything will fall apart in this world just as it will in yours, again and again because of you and because of me. Jonas realizes the woman is Marta.
It's the bangs. You said it. He should have known with those bangs right away that it was older Marta. Yeah, so we get like another new character. We didn't get a whole lot of new characters this episode. We got the
Mm-hmm.
unknown, but we got, yeah, an older version of Marta now.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like this has got to blow Jonas's mind because I couldn't imagine a world without Steve Barnes. It just simply couldn't exist. So, yeah, Jonas is freaked out by this whole thing, but it's great that he like you said, he didn't shrink back. He's used to like older people coming up to him and giving him info, like Adam and older Claudia, and that's kind of like his vibe.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And
it's a neat new
Noah was
character.
like, Teen Noah was totally like, I thought you would look different.
But yeah, this is the first time we've seen a different version of Marta because we've seen
Mhm.
older Magnus, we've seen older Francisca, but yeah, now
Mhm.
we get a look at Marta. She ain't looking bad. Yeah, she looks good too.
I mean, it's a pretty cool haircut. The bangs with
Yes.
the short.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we warp into World 1. A grand gate announces you are entering Tannhaus.
Ah, I loved this.
Perhaps the factory or the town is named for Tannhaus. It's just a little strange that like the big sign just says Tannhaus.
It's so cool though. You don't expect that. You're thinking like I'll say Nielsen or Conwald, but no.
Or Winden.
Or Winden, yeah.
Yeah, the name, it's like, is it a place? It's it kind of like in It's a Wonderful Life. The town is named something and then it turns into Potterville when George Bailey doesn't exist. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So Marta steps forward. It's thundering and raining. The date is September 21st, 1888. New time period.
New time period, which is great. And
Yeah.
then it tells us we're on World 1, but then we're
Mhm.
looking at World 2 Marta here, which is awesome.
Alt Marta.
Yes.
Yeah. Um Marta enters a room where an elaborate machine sends out crackling
Ah,
signals. The operator is Stranger Jonas, wearing old-fashioned clothing. Marta speaks his name softly. Martha's cheek has a scratch under her left eye. Jonas startles to see her, quickly tearing up at the sight of his lost love. He gathers her face in his hands, but Marta shies away from his touch. She's not Marta, not his Marta. She's here to help him find the origin, the beginning of everything in both worlds. Dun dun
Dun, dun,
dun.
dun. Didn't she say the origin was when she met the other Jonas? Come on now, Martha, you're
Yeah,
confusing
this
us.
today's the day we first met,
Right.
and now, yeah.
But I love going back further in time. This is such a good treat to get to go
Mhm,
back even further to 1888. And yeah, Jonas looks great. He's got a cool hairdo now, and he's like dressed all dapper. Like I don't know, he looks great.
Stranger
Like
Jonas looking
everybody.
dapper. Has he
Yeah,
showered? I think he showered, he looks
he
clean.
has. Even though he's in this lab, he's looking great. Andreas, pinch me. Come on. This in the loud machine that's so like time specific. Like it
Mhm,
sounds like you would expect like a room like that to be like loud and overpowering and
mhm,
dangerous to even be within. And yeah, I
yeah,
loved I thought this was the perfect ending. I loved it. It was
yeah.
great.
It's very mad scientist.
Mm-hmm.
All the, like,
That's what
lightning and crackling.
yeah, I was like, is this Dr. Frankenstein or is this Jonas? I don't know who this is. This is great. And yeah, it says Tannhaus there. So you're like, is he like HG Tannhaus, but now he's
Mhm.
Jonas? But
Yeah.
what the heck, dude?
Are
So
you gonna
it's
come? Are we gonna come in and see, like, a wizened old professor sitting there? But no, it was Stranger Jonas looking handsome in his attire.
right. And we should mention that the last time we saw Stranger Jonas, he was time traveling. He
Mhm,
time traveled out of episode 8, season 2, along with
mhm. Bartosz.
Marta, not
Yeah.
Marta. You tell me.
Bartosz, Magnus, and Franziska.
Yeah, that's right. That little interesting crew time travel with him. So it makes you wonder if maybe they're there with him too. They should
Mhm.
be,
Yeah.
unless he killed him. He's not a
Yeah,
murderer,
you're
is he?
like, "Where's the rest of the Scooby Gang?"
Yeah, yeah. We didn't get to meet them in World One anyway. I want to
Mhm.
catch up with those guys. I think we will because,
Yeah.
like I said, I think they're fellow buddies. Yeah, but that's the end of the episode there, I guess. I didn't know if you wanted to, because I printed out everything. I printed out your little questions at the back here, and I answered all your questions. Uh, but I didn't know if maybe we should go into to some of the feedback we have instead, because
Yeah, that sounds good.
we're kicking on. We're kicking in overtime here, but we can go for 10 more minutes and see what the people got to say. I should ask you though, did you have any closing thoughts before we do that?
Oh, well, I thought it was a great, first episode of the season that we kind of get to see quickly where everybody is, all of our key characters, even though we don't necessarily see all the versions. It's a good intro into the alt world, I think.
Hey, no
And we're
Claudia
almost
yet
getting
though.
to process the first episode in the way this is like episode 1 of season 1 all over again, but just these different versions.
Yeah, we
But
missed
yeah.
out on Claudia. I realized that just now that she didn't show up in this episode at all.
That's true. No Claudia.
She'll be back. I know she died like last season, but I know she'll be back, right?
Old Claudia, yeah. She kicked the bucket.
Let's see. I'll start. I got just very little feedback. I'm trying to navigate to it now. Tosh wrote in with her thoughts about. Okay. Tash wrote in with her thoughts about season 2, episode 5. She's slowly but surely catching up with us. Let's see what she's got to say. It's a shorter email than last time. She says the best character was Mikkel. Despite everything that had happened to him, he remains kind and willing to help everyone. The first encounter with old Ulrich and not realizing who he is, his first reaction is to help him. Sounds like Hannah from this episode. It says it takes her back to her first introduction of Mikkel. Worst character, once again, Clausen. So thank you for shouting out Clausen once more for being terrible. We got to remember that. Hopefully, we don't get like an alternate version of Clausen. That's a nightmare. Maybe the unknown is like the World 2 version of Clausen. Maybe that seems right to me. These are my thoughts, not Tash's. She says, "You're right about the pronunciation of my name at the end, Steve. It's pronounced like Ash, but with a T. Tash. My name is Natasha, but my nickname is Tash. So I've got to remember that because I think I've been calling her Tosh a lot. So because
Mm.
I got that short A. I don't know, but Tash, I'm sorry. But yeah, thank you for writing in again and hit us back with your thoughts about. Oh, she's getting ready to watch season 2, episode 6, which was like my favorite before this one. So you're in good standing here. You got some
Yeah,
feedback too, right,
everybody's.
Lindsay?
I did. I had a couple of comments from people reading my written recaps.
Oh, cool, good.
Um, TJ said that I want to echo Tim. Tim had left a nice comment a few weeks ago just saying, "Where are all the comments on the season 3 recaps now that you've started?" And TJ says, "I'm here. I want to echo Tim and say that your recaps, along with abusing the rewind back button on my remote, are essential for keeping up with this fantastic show. You are a beautiful writer as well, ready and nervous for the final 4 episodes of this journey." So they wrote this after reading the episode 4 recap, but they were just saying, they gave me a very nice compliment and said I was a beautiful writer and that my recaps were essential for them to understanding. So that was very, very nice to hear. And Tim, oh, here's the comment Tim posted. "Thanks again for the thorough recap. It got me through some confusing plot points. Well, they're all confusing, but some require more guidance than others. Tim and TJ, thank you for writing in and letting me know that my recaps are helpful to you because it makes all of those long hours and sleepless nights worth it."
Heck yeah. I mean, there's honestly not a whole lot of season 3 recaps out there. So I mean, it's great that you have them for people. Um, People, make sure to check them out at oneofmystories.com. We're going to tell you all the time. She'll be working on the next one here pretty soon. Because you're up to episode 5 currently as of this record. Is that correct?
I finished 5, so I still need to do 6,
Yeah.
7, and 8. I might
Yeah.
work on
Home
6
stretch.
after we get off of the mic tonight, in fact.
Oh man, you're feeling industrious. All right, good deal. I'm going to call the night after this. I'm going to tell you that right now. But yeah, did you have anything you wanted to close us off with, Lindsay? Any plugs or final thoughts?
I just have a lot of reviews coming up. I think the next thing I'm actually going to be reviewing is a movie called The Mission, which is a documentary that came out this year. It's about the true story of John Chow, who is a missionary that went to the Sentinelese Islands and got killed by an arrow. So the documentary isn't just about the event, it's about the way that the culture reacted to his death and the different
Okay.
opinions about if he should have gone at all, or just kind of the state of the public's view of missionary work in general and how
Okay.
it's not he's not held in the same esteem light it once was. I would
Right.
say
Okay.
hot topic and all that. It's
Yeah.
coming. It's like a lot of film festivals are showing this movie, so it's interesting how different people are seeing the coverage, I think. So yeah.
That's cool. I like how documentaries are showing like all kinds of different slices of life that you wouldn't get an eyeball into. I just finished watching the documentary Telemarketers, which went into the world of telemarketing. And that was it took you places you would not realize. It's a really shady business right there. It's like open laundering money, basically. It's
Mm,
really interesting stuff. I'm not
yeah.
going to do a review of it, but I watched it.
And then All the Light We Cannot See, that
Mm.
series, the one that Lewis Hoffman is in, I am halfway through that. Nice thing about that series, Steve, is it's only 4 episodes long, so I am halfway through
Oh.
after watching only 2 episodes. So,
Isn't that a great feeling?
yeah, very different
That's
role
interesting.
for our Lewis. So,
A 4-episode Netflix series. That's really interesting. That doesn't happen very
mhm.
often.
Yeah,
Well, I guess
I don't think
Black
I've
Mirror
seen a
does that.
series that show. What?
Yeah, Black Mirror does that. They release, like, either 5 or 6 episodes per season. So they're
That's
weirdos
right.
too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think I have any plugs myself. I'm opened back up the Intro Void account so anybody can check me out at intro.void again. Hopefully it doesn't get hacked one more time. I actually shouldn't even say the name because I'm afraid people are going to hack my account again, Lindsay.
Mm.
But I boldly opened it back up. Um, yeah, I just want people to check out your recaps and check out Sweet Shot of Time.
Well, I think we should check out our favorite and least favorite characters before we sign off.
Oh, I always forget something, don't I? I do this every time. I know who they are. I've already pre-thought about this, but do you want to go first?
Well, I can do let me stall for time. I will do my
Okay.
favorite character and you can do your favorite character.
Okay.
Though maybe you'll go first with your least favorite character. Well, I know what your least favorite's going to be. Um my favorite character of this episode is going to have to be Marta 2.
Oh, which one? The
Marta 2
short-haired
is
Marta
the
2?
Marta 2 is the Marta wearing the raincoat, the yellow raincoat.
Okay, okay. All right.
Yeah, not
So what
alt
was it about her that
Marta.
stuck out?
This episode strongly I feel like this is her episode. It featured her, introduced her as a character.
Yeah.
I like the fact that they're making this world is centered around this Martha and how she's kind of the parallel to our Jonas. And she's trying to I just feel like they're giving this Marta a better arc. And now that I
Mm-hmm.
look back at it, as much as I like Marta 1, she was sort of all she really did was whine about Jonas. And so this Marta's just got a more she's got a more compelling narrative to start with. She's something's
Sure.
missing in her life and she's trying to figure things out. And yeah, I think just she's intriguing to me.
All right. That's legitness. Like she is the star of this world. So you're right. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, my favorite character will go hand in hand with yours because I'm loving Louis Hoffman this episode. I'm loving Jonas. Um, he's made me take notice because he wasn't always like my favorite actor in the other seasons. Just he just never fell to the top. But this episode, I've given him my favorite before. This is not my first time saying that Louis Hoffman's my favorite character in the episode, but yeah, I'm loving Jonas this episode. I'm loving how lost and how he's portraying that. So I'm
Mhm.
really drawn to him.
Okay.
Least favorite, I mean, yeah, no surprise. That unknown fellow. Don't burn down Adam's house. Don't kill Burnt Doppler. He's nice sometimes. I mean, I don't like the unknown, especially the middle-age unknown. He's the worst of the unknowns. And then I guess the old man is like my next least favorite. No, the little boy is my next least favorite because he ate that apple like it was nothing and little creepy kid.
So
I don't
wait, you
know.
were saying which of the unknowns was your least favorite?
Well, I hate the unknown. That's my least favorite. But within the
Right.
unknowns, I hate the middle age unknown the most. Then the young middle age, then the young unknown, and then the old unknown seems like he might be okay. So,
Oh, the middle-aged person is the one that talks the most.
and he's the worst. He's the one I hate the most. If he
And the
didn't talk,
poor
maybe I'd like him.
and the poor boy, the little boy gets punished because he's eating an apple. It's like he needed a snack. He has high metabolism.
He's creepy already at such a young age, so that's not right.
I'm giving my least favorite character award to Ulrich, World
I
2
knew it.
Ulrich. Did you know it, Steve? Did you know it?
I was going to pick Ulrich if I didn't pick the unknown.
I was
I
I thought about picking Bartosz also because of his horrible
Oh,
haircut, but I feel
that would have
that
surprised me.
yeah, his hair. Okay, so obviously Ulrich, you're a slime ball in any
Yes.
world. You're
Yes.
it wasn't enough that you left our beloved Katerina and you theoretically tried to do the right thing by,
Mm-hmm.
you know, going ahead and making your romance with a Hannah official. Maybe you knocked her up before and that's the reason, why you're trying to do the
Yeah.
right thing. I don't know. But now you are defacing our Charlotte and turning her into
Right. That's right.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't dislike him more. I don't know, but
Yeah. And
he did.
Charlotte is she's feeling the guilt, I guess. The way that they're showing is that she's like the one that's saying like, "Hey, we probably should really knock this knock this off." And then Ulrich's
Mm-hmm.
like, "That's not what you said last night." What a grease ball. It's gross. And his hair looks awful and I hate the pink button-down shirt. So, Ulrich, you suck on every level.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Yep. Yeah, if you're giving it worse to Bartosz just based on his hairstyle, I mean, I'd accept that and it'd be funny, but I don't know. I
Well,
might
it wouldn't
chastise you for
just be
that.
because of his hairstyle. It would also because he just seems like a lame fish. It's like I mean, what is he doing? He's just like
He's smart.
following around this group of people. No, he's not smart. He doesn't even know what the right date for Nostradamus.
Okay, that's true.
Apparently,
He
according
got
to
his
you, I'll need to Google that
Yeah.
later. But yeah, he's just kind of following around Marta and he obviously still has a thing for her, and he's just kind of tripsing and traipsing behind this group of people, going, "So guys, I mean, of course, he's doing it in German, but he's kind of like an what do you call it? Steve Urkel. He's like a Steve Urkel of World Two. That's kind of what Bartosz
Bartosz,
is.
come here. Give me a hug, buddy. Yeah,
But Bartosz,
this is tough.
You didn't get my worst character. It's
That's
still
true.
Ulrich.
You just got it made fun of a whole bunch just now. That's all. All right, Lindsay, we did our favorite and least favorite. Thank you for reminding me because I would have just signed off and not done that.
That would have been sad.
And I would have remembered during the edit or maybe like in the middle of the night, I would have had like a nightmare and woken up in my bed. I forgot. As it is, we did the right thing. Um, yeah, we'll wrap it up for this episode and we'll be back next week with season 3, episode 2, I should say. Thank you once again, Lindsay, for always joining me. I always appreciate it. And to all the listeners, well, let me let Lindsay give a sign off real quick and say goodbye, and then I'll give my sign off.
hmm Steve, I hope you find water and shade in your favorite Cher song when you need it.
Thank you. This is not my favorite Cher song, but thank you. I will find it when the time comes. And I hope that you and all the listeners always find water and shade and shoes. Bye.
Bye, everybody.